Ice apocalypse. This is how you can stock up on the greatest beauties. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 1. The reason for opening the door was entirely for the sake of the dog. 1. Daily reminder. The background is Blue Star, a parallel world, which has nothing to do with reality. 2. Brain storage. Please take it with you after you leave. 3. Friends who come here from old books, please gather here. Thank you, Lee. Xialuo, don't pretend to be dead. Come out and open the door quickly. A huge knock on the door came, and Li Xialuo was startled and woke up from his sleep with cold sweat all over his body, looking at the familiar things around him in disbelief. Li Xialuo was stunned. He was not dismembered. Ignoring the noise outside, Li Xialuo checked his whole body. Finally, it was determined that all the parts on the body were missing, especially some key parts coupled with the familiar environment around him. Li Xialuo could be sure that he was reborn. I also caught up with the trend of rebirth at the beginning, thanks to the Tathagata Buddha from the east and God from the west for blessing me. Fortunately, I was reborn instead of traveling back in time, because he remembered that before he died, he was tortured to an abnormal state, and even Gil was cut off if he traveled through time. Li Xialuo would kill himself directly to finish the whole book. That is definitely impossible, but something suddenly occurred to him, and Li Xialuo quickly took out his phone and looked at the time. The mobile phone shows the time. 8:08 on August 8, 2088. It was a very auspicious day and hour, but Li Xialuo felt nervous because according to this time, the end of the world will come in 8 days. 8 days may seem like a short time, but in fact, if you really have to prepare, Li Xialuo can do a lot of things. But what troubles Li Xialuo is that some things cannot be made up for by time alone, such as personal ability in the previous life. Li Xialuo relied on his good physical fitness before the end of the world and had a strong energy. He was doing well at the beginning after the end of the world, and some survivors respected him, but later on, people with awakened powers appeared. However, Li Xialuo was not favored by the goddess of luck. He did not have the talent to awaken any powers at all. Li Xialuo, who is now reborn, naturally knows that he can do a lot of things with these 8 days. For example, stocking up on food, fortifying houses, purchasing weapons, etc. will make you feel much more comfortable in the early days of the end of the world than in the last life. However, such comfortable days may not last long. No, if you want to live your life again, you must find a way to change. Bang! Bang! Li Xialuo, did you hear me? If you don't open the door, I'm going to let the dog out. Woof! Woof woof! A dog barked in unison outside the door. Hearing the barking, Li Xialuo's eyes sparkled with light. He quickly ran out of bed and opened the door. Li Xialuo, why don't you pretend to be dead? If you don't open the door, I... When a young man saw that the door finally opened, he immediately shouted with dissatisfaction, if you don't want to come in, just stay outside. If you want to come in, just get out. Li Charlotte looked at the three people outside coldly. You, what's your attitude? You didn't see who was coming. The young man was even more dissatisfied, but he was afraid that Li Xialuo would really close the door, so he hurried into the room. There were 3 people and a dog. Li Xialuo opened the door just because of the dog. Among the 3 people, a bald middle-aged man in his 50s, a middle-aged woman in her 40s with wavy hair, and the young man who just spoke, about the same age as Li Xialuo. The middle-aged man is called Li Wei, the wavy middle-aged woman is called Xiaohe, and the young man is called Li Xiaohe. Li Wei is Li Xialuo's father, Xiaohe is Li Xialuo's aunt, and Li Xiaohe is Li Xialuo's cousin. The purpose of coming to Li Xialuo was also very simple, to let Li Xialuo, the elder brother, use money to save people. Note that this is taking money, not borrowing money. The reason is this: not long after his cousin Li Xiaohe started working, Li Xialuo's good father bought him a mobility scooter worth more than 100,000 yuan. When Li Xiaohe was driving a new car to pick up girls, the girl in the passenger seat drove too fast, causing him to be distracted and then hide a luxury car parked on the roadside. Fortunately, no one died, but if you want to resolve this matter, you have to pay at least more than 2 million yuan. It's funny to say that my cousin's car was bought by Li Xialuo's father, Li Wei. If something happened, Li Wei was also busy helping to compensate. However, Li Wei also spent so much money at once, so they started fighting. Own idea, this operation is really fed up. I've been talking to you about money for so long. Are you ready? Isn't it just 1.9 million? If it doesn't work, You can sell this house. This house can be sold for about 2.5 million, right? Then the remaining money will be you can still buy an apartment in your hometown. Isn't it the same thing? The old man Li Wei had a cold face, then walked to the sofa in the living room and sat down, looked at Li Xiaoluo and said expressionlessly, haha, why? Although Li Xiaoluo had heard these words once in his previous life, he still sounded a little laughable now. Can it still be sold for 2.5 million? Do you really look like 250? Well, okay, it was indeed 250 in the previous life. This house was bought for Li Xiaoluo with her hard-earned money after her mother and father Li Wei divorced, let alone his cousin. He has nothing to do with his father Li Wei. What is your attitude? I am your father. Li Wei looked at Li Xiaoluo angrily, and then continued, anyway, no matter what method you use, prepare 1.9 million as soon as possible. If you don't have it, sell the house as soon as possible. Anyway, we have to get this thing done today. Do you want to watch it? Is your cousin going to jail? In his previous life, Li Xiaoluo remembered that the three of them had visited the house countless times in order to get money for him, which made him extremely annoyed. Especially his father's attitude made him feel like a lost dog. The dog on the side said, I remember that my father had been particularly concerned about his cousin Li Xiaoyi since he was a child. Especially after Li Xiaoyi was admitted to college, it reached its peak. He was countless times closer than his biological son. If his mother hadn't died early, Li Xiaoluo would have really wanted to ask her if she belonged to Lao Wang's family next door. Although Li Xiaoluo in the previous life was sometimes very angry at Li Wei's partiality, but after his mother's absence, he always longed for his father's love, so he kept enduring Li Wei's unreasonable troubles. He even sold the house in the end to help his cousin pay back the money. Now that I think about it, 250 is really home. In fact, everything has a cause and an effect. Li Xiaoluo only found out after the end of the world that the reason why Li Wei was so bad to his own son and so good to his nephew, that's because Li Wei always thought that Li Xiaoyi was his son, the product of drunkenness and shahi on a stormy night. Actually, he was the son of another Lao Wang. It's just that before the end, secular morality prevented Li Wei from announcing this matter to the public. And he always felt that he owed Li Wei's mother and son, therefore, any request from their mother and son is granted. In addition, Li Xiaoluo also knew that although he was not the father of Lao Wang next door, but he was indeed not Li Wei's biological son. His mother married him to Li Wei when he was only 1 year old. The prerequisite was that Li Wei would treat him as his own son. However, he might be a piece of shit in Li Wei's eyes only when he needs it. He will think of it occasionally. However, after being reborn and knowing the real reason, Li Xiaoluo was not so sad anymore since there is no blood relationship. It makes sense. Li Xiaoluo didn't seem to hear Li Wei's words, but looked at the dog beside him carefully. This is a half-grown Rottweiler named Dahai. Although he looks a bit scruffy, Li Xiaoluo's eyes shine. This is also the reason why Li Xiaoluo let Li Wei and the others in. Because he wanted to get the dog. Since I haven't thought of any good way to awaken my powers after the end of the world, then we can only make good use of the advantage of rebirth and find some reliable subordinates. A beautiful woman with supernatural talents. That's a story for another day, and this big black one in front of me is definitely the best choice for humans. Dogs after the end of the past life. Its owner Li Xiaoyi was actually an ordinary person who had not awakened his powers, but others relied on the dog's power and relied on Dahui, and they were also famous figures in the last days. Chapter 2 System Task. To stock up on goods, you must first have money. Brother, please calm down first. This matter is also our Xiaoyi's fault. It's normal for Charlotte to have emotions now. Let's discuss it carefully. Charlotte, we are also your elders. We are visiting your home. For aunt's sake, can you make some tea to entertain us, Xia? He whispered softly to the side. This woman is usually quite polite to Li Xiaoluo, and occasionally cares about Li Xiaoluo. In front of everyone, she is a gentle and considerate good woman. Otherwise, the old man Li Wei would not always feel that he owed her and would be willing to give everything for her. When Li Wei and his mother divorced, there was also the shadow of this woman in it, which was really a good trick. What's even more shocking is that this woman had nothing to do with Li Wei at all. She just deceived Li Wei into making love to the two of them for the rest of their lives, but this has nothing to do with Li Xiaoluo. Although these people in the previous life did not personally hurt him, after they had the ability, they ignored him and did not think about any family affection. Li Xiaoluo didn't respond to Xiaohi, but got up and walked towards the kitchen. When Xiaohi saw it, he thought Li Xiaoluo was going to prepare tea, and suddenly felt happy. It seems that there is still hope for money matters. and the goodwill concerned for Li Xiaoluo over the years has indeed not been in vain. Li Xiaoluo quickly walked out of the kitchen again, but there was no tea in his hand, but a few ham sausages. He thought, MMP, he is indeed an uneducated person, he doesn't know any basic etiquette, how can he get ham when entertaining guests? Daohui, come here. There's something delicious. Li Xiaoluo waved a piece of ham towards Daohui. The faces of Xiaohe and the other three suddenly turned extremely dark, and they were not given snacks together. Is this scolding them for being worse than dogs? It was simply too much bullying. If it weren't for money, she would have wanted to leave immediately, especially Li Wei. He felt that Li Xiaoluo didn't take his father seriously at all, and his wings were really hard. On the other hand, Daohui was treated warmly by Li Xiaoluo, and his face was confused. Usually when I come here, I am just a soy sauce person, and maybe I hate the house and the house. Li Xiaoluo is usually not very enthusiastic about it. What happened today? In fact, Rottweiler dogs are generally used as guard dogs because of their high IQ, good obedience, loyalty and bravery, but this kind of dog has a fatal flaw, that is, it only obeys its own owner and will not pay attention to strangers, and is even aggressive. Fortunately, Daohui is still a half-grown dog, and he often sees Li Xiaoluo, so he is no stranger to him. Now when I see something delicious, I stick out my tongue and look greedy. However, it still stayed at the feet of its owner Li Wei. Honestly, without Li Wei's order, it was not a casual dog. Li Wei said with a dark face, that's enough, Li Xiaoluo, can you be more mature? Also, your aunt said we should discuss it carefully, but this is your attitude. Li Xiaoluo said calmly, if you think my attitude is bad, turn right when you go out and don't send me off. Xia. He immediately smoothed things over and said, okay, since Charlotte likes dogs, let him feed the dogs first, and then we can have a good talk. Li Xiaoluo has no idea of giving them money now, let alone selling the house. In fact, his house is not an ideal shelter after the end of the world. But even if you don't use it yourself, you won't be cheap for them. Li Xiaoluo now just wants to have a good relationship with Daohui first, and then find a way to get Daohui. Grabbing it directly will definitely not work. The three of them plus a dog have no chance of winning. Moreover, the end of the world has not yet come, and the law still exists. Although Li Xiaoluo felt very uncomfortable, he still gave orders to Daohui in order to get money with a master's order. Daohui stuck out his tongue and walked up to Li Xiaoluo with a sullen face. Li Xiaoluo picked up a piece of ham and took off the outer shell. The big black dog's face was excited, waiting for the delicious food to arrive. But it soon became confused because Li Xiaoluo threw the ham sausage directly into his own mouth. I really can't blame him. The main reason is that I was hungry in my last life. Now even if I see the cheapest ham, I can't resist the temptation instinctively. I really don't want to compete with a dog for food. Daohui looked at Li Xiaoluo with a dog face and resented him. Are you playing with a dog? Sorry, operation error. Li Xiaoluo smiled at Daohui, immediately got another ham, and threw it directly to Daohui. This time Daohui caught it with his mouth accurately, and then ate it hungrily. +1 for Li Xiaoluo. Li Xiaoluo fed Daohui a few more hams, but never thought of a good way to capture Daohui. It seems that I can only pay for it, but I'm afraid they will raise the price at this moment. A voice sounded in Li Xiaoluo's mind. Ding. Congratulations. To the host, the most powerful shelter system in the Doomsday is being activated. Activate. Task 1, you must have money to stock up. In order for the host to have enough funds to hoard supplies in advance to deal with the apocalyptic disaster, the host is asked to earn more than 1 million in liquidity within 10 minutes, according to the completion status, reward system space. Li Xiaoluo was suddenly startled. Did he have a golden finger? And what is the strongest shelter system? Li Xiaoluo is certainly no stranger to talking about shelters. In his previous life, survivors established large and small strongholds or shelters in order to survive. The leaders of some shelters are called directors, and some simply call themselves kings. However, Li Xiaoluo was not very interested in being a king or not. But why is it so troublesome to activate my own system? Because there is activation task 1, there must be 2 or 3, but after thinking about it, Li Xiaoluo was quite content. I originally thought that being reborn would be my advantage, but I didn't expect that there would be a golden finger. This works very well. System. Prompt, please complete the activation task as soon as possible. If the activation task fails, the system will select another host. The system's prompt sound brought Li Xiaoluo back to his senses, but Li Xiaoluo was in trouble again. Apart from owning a house, he actually didn't have much savings. Moreover, the task requirements issued by the system are also very clear. They are working capital earned within these 10 minutes, and real estate is definitely not included. Damn, this is still a novice mission? Isn't it difficult? Li Xiaoluo, a person whose monthly salary is as high as 3,800, can earn more than 1,000 in 10 minutes, which is considered high-end, and it is more than 1 million. Who do you think highly of? But Li Xiaoluo suddenly realized that the system was talking about working capital. Focus on working capital. Then if you sell this house, won't you have liquidity? Although 10 minutes is a bit tight, normally it cannot be sold, and even if it is sold, you will not get any money. But there are few abnormal people in front of us, and it just so happens that we can take the opportunity to get down. Hey, it can be done. So Li Xiaoluo fed Gozi the last ham, then looked at Li Wei and the others and said, okay, we can talk now. It's not impossible for me to sell my house to save Li Xiaoyi, Xia. He and Li Xiaoyi were both happy, and even Li Wei had a smile on his face, but their smiles soon froze on their faces. Li Xiaoluo continued, 1.88 million, pay within 5 minutes, then this house will be yours. What, 1.88 million? And you want us to pay? If we had money, we would come to you for help. Li Wei immediately became furious after hearing this, and shouted angrily. In fact, Li Xiaoyi's case requires a total of 2.08 million yuan in compensation. Even if Xiaoyi and Li Xiaoyi don't take a penny, Li Wei himself can come up with 1.88 million yuan. But Li Wei always insisted that he could only scrape together 180,000 yuan, and hoped that Li Xiaoluo would pay for the remaining 1.9 million yuan. So Li Xiaoluo asked him to buy this house for 1.88 million, which was obviously very different from his plan. And how did the BD Li Xiaoluo know that he happened to have 1.88 million? Chapter 3 Reward 2,000 cubic meters of space. Li Xiaoluo ignored Li Wei's furious rage and just said calmly, I have inquired about my house before, it is worth more than 2.5 million, and I have a friend who really wants to buy it, so I will give you 3 seconds to consider whether to buy it. If you don't buy it, I will sell it to my friend, and then I will travel abroad and then come back for a few months. Li Xiaoluo, you really have strong wings. Am I your father? Li Xiaoluo couldn't hear it. Li Weizhou had enough today. Li Xiaoluo, who was usually obedient, not only repeatedly contradicted him, but also had to take out so much money himself. He even lost his face in front of Xia. He and his mother, Li Xiaoluo, you unfilial son, do you really want me to teach you a lesson? Li Wei stood up from the sofa angrily, waving his fists. Teach me a lesson. Li Xiaoluo sneered, picked up a water glass on the table and smashed it at Li Wei's feet. The flying glass fragments frightened Li Wei, and he immediately ran away. Okay, the time is up. If you don't want to buy it, then get out of here. After saying that, Li Xiaoluo took out his mobile phone again and called his friend in front of Li Wei and others. Hey, brother Zhao, the last time we negotiated for my house was 2.5 million, right, but this number is a bit unlucky. I'll sell it to you for 2.48 million. You pay right away. Okay, I'll go find you in the afternoon. Also, didn't you say you know a reliable tour group? Please introduce it to me. After selling my house, I want to travel abroad. Li Xiaoluo had been obedient before, and because of Li Wei and the others' persistent pursuit, Li Xiaoluo did have the idea of selling the house. But I've only had the idea, and I haven't found anyone to look at the house yet, so I don't have any friends who want to buy a house. Now I'm just acting for Li Wei. But Li Xiaoluo believes that Li Wei and others will definitely take the bait. After all, the price of this house is there. They didn't know that Li Xiaoluo was more anxious to get money than they were. Li Xiaoluo hung up the phone and looked at Li Wei and the others. Why? Aren't you leaving yet and you still want to take action? Li Wei was shaking with anger, but Li Xiaoluo had changed so much now that he had nothing to do for a while. He had already seen Li Xiaoluo's determination at this time, so he quickly said, Xiaoluo, don't sell the house to your friend. We are a family. We bought it. After saying that, he gave Li Wei a wink and asked him to buy the house quickly. She knew about Li Wei's 1.88 million, because she knew everything about Li Wei originally. Li Wei wanted Li Xiaoluo to contribute 1.9 million yuan to save Li Xiaoyi, but he only offered a symbolic 180,000 yuan plan. She must have approved it with both hands, because not all the money saved by the old man Li Wei was spent on their mother and son. But if Li Xiaoluo cannot get 1.9 million from Li Xiaoluo, then even if Li Wei takes out all the 1.88 million, there will still be a gap of about 200,000 yuan before the compensation of more than 2 million yuan. Where can they get another 200,000 yuan in a short time? So the only hope now is to buy Li Xiaoluo's house. After buying a house worth more than 2.5 million yuan for 1.88 million yuan, he can make a huge profit of more than 600,000 yuan by reselling it after paying 2.08 million yuan in compensation. They still had some money left. No one can calculate this account. Okay, we'll buy your house, Li Wei said through gritted teeth. He had never been so aggrieved, and Li Wei said coldly, I will buy the house, but from now on, we will sever our relationship and we will no longer be a family. Li Xiaoluo had no reaction at all to the old man's threat to sever ties. He just said calmly, okay, since we have to sever the relationship, the preferential price I gave you before will be gone. But I will still give you a super friendly price of 2.18 million, and by the way, I will also add this black dog. Hearing this, not only Xiaohe and her son Li Xiaoyi were anxious, but even Li Wei felt regretful. Why are you so quick to show off for a while? Why not buy the house first, then sell it and get the money? Now if this BD really increases the price to 2.18 million, then he will definitely not have the money to buy it, and his precious son will really go to jail by then. But asking Li Wei to beg Li Xiaoluo and say good things to him, he couldn't bear it. But Xiaohe is a woman, so she can naturally look down on her face and say, Charlotte, just for the sake of your aunt, save your cousin, otherwise he will go to jail at such a young age and his life will be ruined. In this way, we still bought the house for 1.88 million. If you like the dog, we will give the dog to you, okay? Oh, the fish finally took the bait. In fact, even if there were no system tasks, Li Xiaoluo would sell the house cheaper. After all, he would need money next. Now not only has the house been converted into money, but the system tasks have also been completed. More importantly, he got Dahui easily. It can be said that it kills 3 birds with 1 stone. They have to thank themselves for being kind. In fact, the subsequent price increase of 300,000 was Li Xiaoluo's little trick to make Xiaohe and the others focus on the price increase instead of realizing that they really wanted to buy Dahui. Otherwise, the initiative will not be on your side. Li Xiaoluo seemed to be unable to bear Xiaohe's tears, and said impatiently, okay, remember, this is the last time I will help you. 1.88 million plus Dahui. Sign the contract immediately and transfer the money. But I need 7 days if you look for a new house. It will take 7 days for the house to be vacated and transferred. What? You can't vacate the house and transfer the ownership in 7 days, so you want me to pay him right away? Li Wei immediately became angry again. He already felt sorry for his pension money. Li Xiaoluo looked at him expressionlessly. Don't believe me? Or don't believe the contract? Did I ask you to buy it? If you don't want to buy it, just get out of here. Anyway, with a price difference of 600,000 and Li Xiaoyi's matter, Li Xiaoluo was not afraid that they would not compromise. Not long after, Li Xiaoluo's mobile phone received 1.88 million. Although he had only signed a contract and had not gone to the real estate bureau to transfer the ownership, Li Wei could only transfer the money obediently. After all, the initiative has always been in Li Xiaoluo's hands. Moreover, after Li Wei calmed down, he realized that Li Xiaoluo's temperament changed drastically today. It must be because he was too partial this time and seriously hurt his heart. But in Li Xiaoluo's eyes, no matter what, he is still his biological father, and he must still care about family affection. After a few days, Li Xiaoluo figured it out. He might be able to get back more than half of the 1.88 million he paid. Of course, even if the money couldn't be returned, the contract was written in black and white, as well as the transfer records, and the house book was taken away by them. How dare he refuse to give him the house? Even Li Wei and Xiaohe pretended to be generous and gave Li Xiaoluo a few more days to pack and move, leaving Dahui behind. The 3 finally left. Even the owner Li Xiaoyi has no nostalgia for selling Dahui. When I first got him, I just heard from my friends that this kind of dog is quite fierce. In addition, I saw a man on Douyin who was like a dog, so he also wanted to get a similar model. It's a pity that Li Xiaoyi has no idea what impact selling Dahui now will have on him in the future. Originally, he could indeed live a good life after the end of the world. It's a pity that he has ruined it now. Li Xiaoluo really wanted to know how they would live in the end of the world. Looking at Dahui with a hint of sadness in his eyes, he may have understood that he was abandoned by his owner, but looking at the Dahui he had obtained, Li Xiaoluo burst into laughter. This was Xiao Qiang, a dog who had killed countless people in his previous life and was said to be invincible. It is said that Dahui ranks 5th overall in the entire superpower rankings. Many people with powers don't even know what powers Dahui has awakened. They only know that it is huge, with an iron frame and a bronze body, and it is basically immune to ordinary physical and magical damage. Being able to make so many powerful superpowers admit that humans are inferior to dogs shows just how powerful Dahui is. Ding. Congratulations. To the host, you have obtained 1.88 million working capital in System Activation Task 1. Rounding off, you will be rewarded with 2,000 cubic meters of space. Fragrant. The most powerful shelter system has not been activated yet, but after completing Activation Task 1, Xialuo felt it was so good in the future. What if I can't awaken my powers? It's just the space rewarded by the current system. He is already considered a space superpower, and you start with 2,000 cubic meters of space. What is the concept of this number? Anyway, in his previous life, before Xialuo died, the most powerful space superpower he had ever heard of only had a space of 100 cubic meters. Ling. System Activation Task 2 is now released. In order for the host to better cope with the apocalyptic natural disasters, the host is requested to build 2 safe lord mansions belonging to the host within 6 days. The security transformation cost of each lord mansion must not be low, 10 million, to cope with the upcoming extreme cold snowstorm and the flood in 3 months. After the host completes the System Activation Task 2, the host can be rewarded with a super enhancement of the 2 lords' mansions, and a reward for the 2 lords to bend over the small portal. Note, the small portal requires that the straight line distance between the 2 lords does not exceed 100 miles. Warm reminder, after completing System Activation Task 2, you can officially activate the strongest shelter system. Chapter 4 Longing Villain Number 1. Xialuo thought correctly before. Since the system has activated Task 1, then there will definitely be Task 2. Fortunately, the system is quite user-friendly and clearly told Xialuo that there would be no Mission 3. Xialuo was actually not too anxious to activate the system, because he found that even if he completed the System Activation Task, the rewards were quite delicious. Activating Task 1 directly awarded 2,000 cubic meters of space. Activating Mission 2 is also great. You only need to choose 2 houses to build 2 safe houses. Of course, the name of other people's systems is much more advanced, not a safe house, but a lord's house. And let's not talk about the super enhancement of the lord's mansion as a reward. What Charlotte likes most is the small portal. With such a good thing, it will be difficult for Charlotte to die in the future. Sure enough, the combination of the reborn person and the system is a plus upon incense. Just one word, cool, and it is still on the way to activate the system, and the system has not been officially activated yet. If the system is officially activated, who knows what good things will come out, and maybe Xialuo will be able to gain other abilities. Xialuo has an obsession with becoming a person with superpowers. Xialuo never awakened any powers in his previous life until his death. As an ordinary survivor, he suffered all the humiliation in the apocalypse. Xialuo in his previous life would not have lived such a miserable life even if he could awaken an ordinary power in this life. He was already ahead of everyone due to his rebirth. But if you can rely on the system to obtain special abilities, there will be room for system rewards. Xialuo can even become the only superpower with multiple superpowers, which would be so cool. But no matter what he can get after activating the system, Xialuo now has 2,000 cubic meters of space, and Xialuo is actually quite satisfied after all, with such a large space. Even those with space powers in previous lives may not be able to achieve it despite their hard work for a lifetime if they want to own 2,000 cubic meters of space. Moreover, Xialuo can also take advantage of rebirth to maximize the role of space purchase for 0 yuan. Stock up on supplies. But before that, Xialuo still had one important thing to do, that is to make more money. After all, the renovation cost of each of the 2 lords' mansions that the system needs to build must not be less than 10 million. Then Xialuo had to stock up as much supplies as possible. The 1.88 million he got from selling his house for these things was definitely not enough. Hey, Manager Wang, do you have any houses for rent in Longting Villa district in the western suburbs? An hour later, Fatty Wang from the housing agency personally accompanied Xialuo to the Longting Villa area. Although Fatty Wang, the agent, was fat, it was not Xialuo who took the initiative to call him Fatty Wang, and he himself said it was called kindness. After all, Xialuo's order is a big one. The houses in Longting are all large villas. It is a large villa with a single courtyard, a large garden, and fences around it, like a private manor. Moreover, the villa area has an artificial lake, a large green garden, mountains and water. Of course, the location here is relatively remote, and the development of the city has not come here. What Xialuo is looking at now is Longting Villa Number 1, with a construction area of 1,200 square meters, a private swimming pool, Luxurious decoration, 8 bedrooms, 3 living rooms and 6 bathrooms, complete furniture and appliances, and front and rear gardens. The monthly rent is 150,000 yuan. In fact, the people who buy houses in such places are either rich or expensive. And they are rarely rented out, but it's not absolute. There are currently 3 villas for rent in Longting Villa. Of course, there is a reason why Li Xiaoluo wanted to make more money before and now he came here to rent such an expensive villa. Mr. Li, I have already told you about the general situation of villa number 1. Can I ask what you are renting it for, Fatty? Wang also asked as a matter of routine. After all, the owner had an explanation. It's convenient for raising a dog. My original house was too small for him to move around, and I was afraid it would affect his physical and mental health. Li Xiaoluo looked at Dao He beside him and started talking nonsense. PFFT. Fatty Wang just took a sip of water and sprayed it down. Is this a true portrayal of humans being inferior to dogs? Looking at the black dog staying quietly next to Li Xiaoluo, Fatty Wang felt physically and mentally exhausted. He also wants to be a dog in his next life. Li Xiaoluo is naturally talking nonsense. In fact, after the system required the construction of 2 safe lords' mansions, Li Xiaoluo had already had an idea in mind about the location of the 2 lords' mansions. First of all, the 2 places cannot be too close to each other, of course, due to the transmission distance limit of the small teleportation gate. It must not be too far away, so apart from where he originally lived, Li Xiaoluo chose the Longting Villa area as another place after renting the number 1 Longting Villa here. Li Xiaoluo will build it into one of the lord's mansions to deal with the upcoming snow disaster. The building where he originally lived was quite high, so Li Xiaoluo would also build a house on the highest floor into another lord's mansion, and then use it to deal with the flood in a few months. As for why we spent so much money to rent this Longting Villa number 1, there are actually several reasons. The first reason is to make money. Taking advantage of the rebirth, Li Xiaoluo is sure that not only will he not spend money, but he will also make a fortune by renting a villa here. At that time, not only will you have money to complete system tasks, but you will also have a lot of money to stockpile supplies. The second reason is revenge. Li Xiaoluo's last resting place in his previous life was here, and he died here later. This is the place that harmed the people who killed him. The third reason is actually for enjoyment. This villa area has mountains and waters. Villa number 1 is very large and luxuriously decorated. When the time comes, install more solar energy and prepare more large generators, water storage tanks, etc. Even if there is a water and power outage in the city, he will not be short of water or power here. At least he can live comfortably during the snowstorm period ahead. The fourth reason is actually a very important point. There will be a very important treasure here. After the end of the world came, the whole world first experienced extreme cold, snowstorms, and floods. Then there is the third woe, which lasts the longest. The third disaster is the rain of countless meteorites from the sky. But in these meteorite rains, some meteorites hide various monsters. Those monsters are not only powerful, but also have different abilities. Some of them also carry viruses. Humans attacked by them will soon turn into zombie-like creatures. So after the third disaster, there were not only zombies, but also extraterrestrial monsters. This is why the state machine quickly disintegrated. However, although some of those meteorites contain monsters, some contain crystals that are very important to those with superpowers. Li Xiaoluo was an ordinary survivor in his previous life. He had not been to many places in the apocalypse. He knew that the meteorites that fell in the Longting Villa area contained the most crystals in the previous life. The crystals here were obtained by a person with superpowers, and then created a super strong person. Although Li Xiaoluo still doesn't know whether he can become a superpower after the system is activated, but even if he can't use it himself, he won't take advantage of others with this kind of treasure. Therefore, he must occupy Longting Villa first. Fatty Wang was deeply shocked by Li Xiaoluo's words about using the villa to raise dogs. He was not so excited about the success of a big business deal. After signing the contract with Li Xiaoluo and collecting the money, he left in a hurry and continued his work. Otherwise, let alone living in a big villa, I will almost not be able to pay the mortgage this month. I can only say that I am as tired as a dog. But the meaning has long since changed. After taking Daohui around the villa, Li Xiaoluo was very satisfied. Daohui, this will be our home from now on. Watch the door carefully from now on. If I have something to eat, you won't be hungry. Of course, what Li Xiaoluo is still thinking is, if I really have nothing to eat, Daohui, you won't bear to let me go hungry, right? Daohui was shaking his short tail vigorously next to him, and he didn't know if he understood it, but it doesn't matter. Daohui is already very smart. and after it awakens its powers, it will become even smarter at that time. It didn't matter if he wasn't a dog, by the way. I feel like the name Dahui is a bit common from now on. I feel a little unworthy of Dahui's temperament, and the price of my master will also decrease accordingly. The name must be changed again. Waiting online. It's quite urgent. Chapter 5. I have money to stock up on goods. By the way, I will be the lord of the sanctuary in the future, and Dahui will be my first subordinate, so let's call him General. Dahui, you will have a new name in the future. You will be called General. You may like it. Woof. Woof. With such a domineering name, I know that you are very satisfied and it gives you an advantage. Li. Xialuo automatically translated the meaning of Dahui. No, General. Woof. Woof woof, you're welcome. This is what your master and I should do. From now on, just fight monsters well and protect me. Think about it. If you encounter an enemy in the future, just shout, release the general. It should have the same effect as releasing a Black Panther. Li Xialuo touched the general's dog head with satisfaction, and then played with it for a while. While deepening the relationship, it also made it familiar with its new name. After teasing the general for a while, Li Xialuo picked up his cell phone and prepared to go out. Time is money, so you must seize it. The general immediately followed him up and down. Maybe it had a new owner and then a new territory, making it very insecure. Now I just want to be with Li Xialuo. Okay, I'll take you with me. Li Xialuo smiled and touched the general's head. Woof. Woof. The general shouted, feeling that the new owner could handle it. The previous owner always yelled at it and even hit it sometimes. Of course, the general's ability to accept Li Xialuo so quickly is actually related to Li Xialuo's familiarity with it in the past. Li Xialuo occasionally asked Li Xialuo to help take care of the general for a day or two with the general. Li Xialuo first came to villain number 2 not far next door. After ringing the doorbell, Li Xialuo said a few words, and soon a middle-aged woman in her 40s and fairly well-maintained came out. Behind her was a young man with yellow hair and a somewhat pale face, who looked sickly. Li Xialuo just said that he is the owner of villain number 1. He has just moved in and is not very familiar with it, so he came to visit his neighbors. After all, distant relatives are not as good as close neighbors. This excuse is actually a bit ridiculous, especially for ordinary people who rent a house in the city. They may live there for several years without even seeing their next-door neighbors a few times, but it depends on the situation. In a high-end villa area like this, the people who can live in it are either rich or noble. Some people pretend to be fat and live in it, maybe just to get acquainted with the human resources here. So Li Xialuo said that he was the new owner of villain number 1 and took the initiative to visit him. The owner of villain number 2 would definitely not be offended. The main reason why Li Xialuo came here was that sick young man. The sick young man's name was Zhou Junji. He didn't know Li Xialuo, but Li Xialuo knew him. This was one of the main culprits that killed him in his previous life. After zombies appeared in the third disaster in his previous life, Li Xialuo escaped from the city fortunately, and then came to this villa area with a group of survivors to avoid danger. But at that time, monsters and zombies also appeared in the villa area. Zhou Junji was a scumbag, and he was so scared that he wet the floor when faced with monsters and zombies. At that time, Li Xialuo was kind-hearted, so he saved Zhou Junji, who was about to die. Zhou Junji later became Li Xialuo's younger brother, without any of the arrogance of a rich man, but Li Xialuo didn't know it at all at the time. That was because Zhou Junji was so powerful. Later, when Zhou Junji had a backer, it would be Li Xialuo's end. Li Xialuo came to Zhou Junji now, so naturally he would not kill him immediately. After all, the order has not collapsed yet. Li Xialuo came to Zhou Junji for his family's money and Zhou Junji's backer in his previous life. In the living room of Zhou's family, after the three people got to know each other, Zhou's mother asked the two young people to chat and left. Mr. Li, I don't know where you were before. Why haven't I seen you in the circle? Zhou Junji basically knew or met all the rich second-generation or respectable young people in the city, but there was really no one like Li Xialuo in his memory. Li Xialuo didn't panic at all. He was indeed an ordinary migrant worker who owned nothing except his house, but Junji Chao's family is rich. I'm from Hu province. I came here to invest, but I don't have any opportunities yet. It turns out he is from another province. Investment, isn't it just a waste of money? Zhou Junji immediately became interested. Mr. Li, how much money do you plan to invest? In what field? Maybe I can help. Li Xialuo said calmly, let's start first and then we'll see what happens. Zhou Junji said, start at 10 million. This investment amount was too ordinary in his eyes, And he suddenly lost much interest. Li Xiaoluo said, I'm talking about starting with a small goal. As for the cap, it's about 10. This time it's just for exercise. It won't be too big. When Zhou Junji heard this, he thought, oh, this is starting from 100 million. It seems that Li Xiaoluo has a good background and is a person he can make friends with. Come, Mr. Li, let's have a good chat. I still have some connections in this city. Zhou Junji immediately became enthusiastic. His pocket money was strictly controlled by the old man, so he had to rely on himself to make money to pick up girls. Okay, I got what I asked for. Li Xiaoluo also showed great interest when Zhou Junji explained all his so-called connections. It turned out that Li Xiaoluo was in one ear and out the other. He was not here to discuss business at all. Sorry, I need to go to the toilet first. Li Xiaoluo suddenly stood up. I'll ask the nanny to take you there. Zhou Junji called the nanny and asked her to take Li Xiaoluo to the bathroom. Looking at Li Xiaoluo's leaving figure, Zhou Junji raised the corners of his mouth. It seemed that Li Xiaoluo was as weak as himself. It's only been a few minutes and I have to go to the toilet. Sure enough, a common problem among the rich second generation is that they waste their kidneys. Li Xiaoluo followed a nanny to the bathroom of Zhou's villa. The bathroom was very large and luxurious. Li Xiaoluo locked the door, but did not take off his pants. Instead, he stood on the toilet in the bathroom, then stood on the toilet for a while and finally opened a gap. A large amount of gold and cash suddenly appeared inside. Li Xiaoluo knew their value. A full 200 million. Zhou Junji's father in his previous life wanted to use this money in exchange for Li Xiaoluo's loyalty. If the apocalypse hadn't happened not long ago, Li Xiaoluo might have been moved. However, the state machinery soon disintegrated, and the coins were naturally useless paper. But now money is not waste paper. Li Xiaoluo is here for it. Li Xiaoluo now has space and can easily take away the money and you don't have to worry about being discovered. Firstly, Zhou Junji's father hid the money tightly and would not check it at ordinary times. Secondly, even if he went to see it on a whim, he wouldn't dare to say anything about it because the money came from a shady source. Even if he found that the money was missing in the third place, he would probably only suspect that there was a thief in the family because Li Xiaoluo borrowed the toilet for a while. Could he take away so much money and gold? In short, after collecting this money, I have money to stock up on goods. Chapter 6 Shenmai. After getting the money, Li Xiaoluo restored the scene to its original state, and then pretended to press the toilet flush button. Wow, the sound of the toilet flushing means that 200 million have been drained away. Now that he has this 200 million, Li Xiaoluo's cash flow is even more abundant, and it is cool to have his enemies provide funds. In fact, Li Xiaoluo has other ways to make money, such as borrowing money from scammers, nude photo loans, etc. I don't know how many loan platforms there are now, so Li Xiaoluo doesn't need to worry about how much interest there is or how bad they are. He can just go and get the wool. No need to pay it back anyway. It's just that Li Xiaoluo thinks this method of collecting wool is a bit slow and the amount is still small and there is no way to use the enemy's money to relax. When he came out of the bathroom, Zhou Junji looked like he was on the phone, with a lewd smile on his face from time to time. When Li Xiaoluo came closer, he only heard Shenmai-Omeo's name. And then Zhou Junji hung up the phone when he saw Li Xiaoluo coming out. Shenmai-Omeo, a glimmer of light flashed in Li Xiaoluo's eyes, and then a stunning face appeared in his mind. In this life, this woman will be my Li Xiaoluo. Of course, besides her beauty and good figure, there is another more important reason why Li Xiaoluo wants to get Shenmai-Omeo. After the end of the world, Shenmai-Omeo is known as the Ice Queen, ranked third on the superpower rankings, 2 places more powerful than the 5th ranked general in the previous life. Shenmai-Omeo was Zhou Junji's woman and supporter. It was Shenmai-Omeo who even took the initiative to find Zhou Junji after the apocalypse. This made everyone unbelievable at first. How could such a beautiful and powerful superhuman look at Zhou Junji? You must know that Zhou Junji had not awakened any powers at that time, and his body had long been hollowed out. He might not even be able to defeat a slightly stronger woman, but Shenmai-Omeo is loyal to Zhou Junji, and no one can do anything bad to Zhou Junji. If we say that Li Xiaoluo in his previous life was a man relying on the power of a dog, he relied on the general to thrive like a dog, then Junji Zhou is definitely the strongest soft rice king in the last days. But there is no airtight wall in the world. Li Xiaoluo later found out that there was a story between Shenmai-Omeo and Zhou Junji. Shenmai-Omeo, 20 years old, is a student at Communication University. Her father died young and her mother raised her and her sister, who are 2 years younger. In addition to being beautiful, Shenmai-Omeo is also a very kind and pitiful girl from a poor family. Logically speaking, She would not have anything to do with a rich second generation like Zhou Junji. But before the end of the world, some of Zhou Junji's friends often liked to go to the university to pick up student girls, and then accidentally discovered the treasure girl Shen Miao. However, their tried and tested luxury cars lost their effectiveness in front of Shen Miao, and several second-generation rich people came home in vain. This aroused Zhou Junji's interest, especially after he met Shen Miao. He was shocked and vowed to get it, but Zhou Junji is also a very scheming person. After knowing that his friend was frustrated by Shen Miao, he changed his strategy. Zhou Junji hired a professional private detective to keep an eye on Shen Miao, waiting for opportunities. Just now Zhou Junji received a call from the private detective, and he knew that his opportunity had come. It turns out that just in the past 2 days, Shen Miao's sister was diagnosed with a serious illness, and the medical expenses may cost 2 to 3 million. This was Zhou Junji's opportunity. He was asked to spend 2 to 3 million at a time to pick up girls, but he was actually a little reluctant to part with it because he usually causes trouble. His pocket money has been controlled to millions, so he must save some money. However, the detective has found out clearly that the initial treatment cost for Shen Miao's sister is only about 1 million. Maybe the treatment is not effective and there will be no need for follow-up costs. Even if the treatment is effective, that will happen later. Maybe by then I will be completely tired of playing with Shen Miao, so what does the cost of her sister's subsequent treatment have to do with me? So he is still willing to spend 1 million to win a beautiful woman in the previous life. It was actually as Zhou Junji thought. In order to save her sister, Shen Miao finally chose to agree to be Zhou Junji's woman, but because Zhou Junji had to take care of his sister, the end of the world came before Zhou Junji could get Shen Miao's body. After the apocalypse, Zhou Junji lost his ability to make money as a rich second generation, and once became the lowest level existence after the apocalypse. Even before Li Xiaoluo met him, he had suffered a lot of major injuries. It is said that at the beginning of the apocalypse, in the villa area where Zhou Junji was located, a few security guards controlled the power of the villa area. One of the security guards directly performed castration surgery on Zhou Junji, because before the end of the world, Zhou Junji played with his security guard's wife in order to seek excitement. Let's just play, and we must let the security guard know on purpose. The security guard before the end knew Zhou Junji's energy, and he also thought about dying with Zhou Junji. But in the end he still didn't have the courage. After the end of the world, he finally found a chance to take revenge. This is why when Shen Miao, who has become a strong man, brings his sister to find Zhou Junji, after Zhou Junji takes control of the power of life and death in the villa, his psychology becomes distorted and castrates almost all men, including Li Xiaoluo. Li Xiaoluo came to Zhou Junji. In addition to coming to his house to get money, he also wanted to know whether Zhou Junji had given money to Shen Miao. Although Li Xiaoluo knew the general ins and outs of the incident, he did not know the specific time. If Zhou Junji had already given money to Shen Miao, then things would be a little difficult to handle because Shen Miao is a very traditional woman who accepts death. If she accepts money and agrees to Zhou Junji, it will be difficult to change. This was also why Shen Miao went through so much trouble to find Zhou Junji in the last life, and after knowing that Zhou Junji is an ordinary person without special powers, he still chooses to follow Zhou Junji to repay his kindness. Even if she knew Zhou Junji was an eunuch, she would still never leave him. Zhou Junji can kill people, but if someone wants to kill Zhou Junji, it's not allowed. It's so indiscriminate. In this life, Li Xiaoluo not only needs to stock up on supplies, but also on beautiful women. Otherwise, who will protect him? Moreover, he needs to do all the fighting and killing by himself, so the price will drop. But fortunately, from what Zhou Junji said when he answered the phone just now, he has not captured this treasure girl yet. Otherwise, even if it is a pity, Li Xiaoluo will still destroy the flower with ruthless hands. Seeing Li Xiaoluo coming out, Zhou Junji immediately put on a smile and said, "Master Li, I have something to do later. How about we leave our contact information and make an appointment to discuss investment matters?" There was a hint of displeasure on Li Xiaoluo's face. "Young Master Zhou, don't you think you don't like my little money? Is it such a coincidence that something happened?" Zhou Junji quickly waved his hand and said, "Mr. Li, don't get me wrong. My girlfriend's sister is sick and is hospitalized in the First People's Hospital. As a brother-in-law, I naturally want to go and see her. Damn it, shameless. When did my sister-in-law become your sister? But it's very good, and I know where Shen Miao's sister is hospitalized. There is no need to follow Zhou Junji later. No, this is still not safe. You have to delay Zhou Junji's time to go to the hospital. You have to go earlier than him soon." Li Xiaoluo had an idea. Chapter 7 He gave too much? Mr. Joe, I happen to be going to the First People's Hospital in the afternoon to visit my sister-in-law, but I haven't bought a car when I come here. How about I take a ride? You also went to the People's Hospital to see my sister-in-law. Zhou Junji looked at Li Xiaoluo strangely. In fact, taking a ride, considering Li Xiaoluo's identity, there is no problem, but is there such a coincidence? They are both the First People's Hospital, and they are all sisters-in-law. Seeing Zhou Junji's eyes, Li Xiaoluo said calmly, I was too abrupt. I just asked for a ride-hailing service. If you're sorry for disturbing me today, I'll say goodbye. Li Xiaoluo didn't even call out to Mr. Zhou politely, and was obviously a little angry. General, let's go. Li Xiaoluo greeted the general. The general was stunned for a moment, but he quickly came to his senses and called himself. He ran over quickly. Zhou Junji stood aside indifferently, even if it can be seen that Li Xiaoluo is a little unhappy. So what? After all, he is also a high-quality second generation, right? Is he still trying to please Li Xiaoluo, whom he just met? Besides, he was going to pick up girls later, so he was not in the mood to care whether Li Xiaoluo felt happy or not. But Li Xiaoluo, who had just taken a few steps, seemed to remember something again. He groped around in his pocket, took out a few things, and then walked to Zhou Junji. It's a bit presumptuous to visit today. I came empty-handed. This thing can be regarded as a small gift from me, or it can be regarded as the cost of borrowing the bathroom. Zhou Junji looked at what Li Xiaoluo was holding and his eyes immediately widened. 3 yellow gold bars. Zhou Junji could tell at a glance that each stick weighed about 100 grams according to the current gold price. 3 gold bars are worth at least 150,000. Damn. I've seen people show off, but I've never seen anyone show off better than myself. Even if I go out to show off on weekdays, I'm not so bold as to give away gold bars, let alone gold bars. He can't do it even with the golden beans. It's just pocket money. It doesn't live up to expectations. Although Li Xiaoluo's performance of pretending to be 13 gave him a score of 99, he felt it was delicious. Zhou Junji glanced around to make sure that his mother had not come out. He immediately took the gold bar handed over by Li Xiaoluo and quickly put it into his pocket fund for picking up girls plus 15W. Happy, Li Xiaoluo showed a meaningful smile on his lips, then turned around and left. At this time, Zhou Junji hurriedly said, Master Li, what I said before really didn't mean anything else, and I didn't mean not to believe you. I just asked casually. Don't you want to take a ride? Just wait for me at the door. I'll go to the garage and drive right away. That would be troublesome. Li Xiaoluo replied lightly. After waiting for a few minutes at the door of Zhou's villa, there was a roar and Zhou Junji drove a red sports car and stopped in front of Li Xiaoluo. Master Li, please get in the car. Zhou Junji got out of the car himself, opened the door, and actively invited Li Xiaoluo to get in the car. Li Xiaoluo was not in a hurry to get in the car, but took a look at the sports car. Mr. Zhou, your Lamborghini sports car is very beautiful. How much did it cost? Mr. Li, this is a Ferrari. It cost 2 million RMB when I bought it. Zhou Junji looked at Li Xiaoluo with strange eyes again. Oh, buying a Lamborghini for 4 million is indeed a good deal. How about transferring it to me? This is not Rambo. Zhou Junji was about to speak, but before he could finish his sentence, he got stuck on the second half of his sentence. Zhou Junji carefully confirmed, Master Li, what do you think? I will transfer this car to you for 4 million. Li Xiaoluo nodded. I really like this Lamborghini. It happens to be inconvenient not to have a mobility scooter, so I bought it. I wonder if you are willing to sell it? Sell? Yes, it is a Lamborghini. Mr. Li is willing to buy it, and I am willing to sell it even if I am reluctant to part with it. Okay, you can drive the car to my villa. No, Mr. Li, don't we go to the vehicle management office to transfer the ownership? No need to bother. I just bought it and drove it for a few days. Zhou Junji, he was confused now. Li Xiaoluo is either a real genius, or he came out of a mental hospital. Just point to Ferrari and say it's Lamborghini. He gave so much. Zhou Junji is willing to call a deer a horse without conscience, but what's the point of buying a sports car and not even bothering to transfer the ownership? This is not buying groceries, and if you buy a car worth 4 million, how many days can you drive it? Inhumane? Simply more inhumane than myself. Today, Junji Zhou finally saw what it means that every mountain is higher than the next, and what it means that there is a world outside the sky and there are people outside the world following Li Xiaoluo. Zhou Junji slowly drove his sports car to Villa Number 1. Zhou Junji in the car became more and more excited as he thought about it. He originally thought that Shin Miao's matter would require him to bleed heavily, but who would have thought that there would really be a good thing falling from the sky? My second-hand Ferrari, no, Lamborghini, sold for 4 million, and I use 1 million to buy Shin Miao, and then I can buy a new 2 million Lamborghini? There's still 1 million left at the end. This is not pie in the sky. As for whether Li Xiaoluo was teasing him, Zhou Junji had no idea. After all, they are all people with status, and this is their own territory. If anything happens, just call the security guard. Master Li, where will you park the car? In addition, look at the money, Zhou Junji asked after arriving at Villa Number 1. Li Xiaoluo said at this time, Mr. Zhou, I bought a car for 4 million, and I have a small favor that I need your help with. When Zhou Junji heard Li Xiaoluo's words, he suddenly realized that he was waiting here. It seems that it was a little early to be happy before. Young Master Li, I'm not saying anything when I say I'm helping. If there's anything I can do, I'll do my best. Li Xiaoluo expressed his gratitude. Then he said, I want to use gold to pay for the car. In addition, I still have some gold and I need you to help me. That's it. Zhou Junji was a little in disbelief. What kind of difficulty is this? Seeing Zhou Junji agree, Li Xiaoluo went back to the villa to get the gold. Within a few minutes, Li Xiaoluo came out holding a cardboard box. It contains 30 kilograms of gold, worth about 15 million. Seeing that Li Xiaoluo had so much gold, Zhou Junji was really surprised. They even doubted whether Li Xiaoluo was a gold store robber, but in this day and age, it seems basically impossible. As for whether the gold is fake, don't worry, Zhou Junji still has some appraisal skills and knows that these golds must be real. In addition, Li Xiaoluo gave Zhou Junji a bank account, saying that after the gold was sold, he could just transfer the money to Li Xiaoluo's account. In other words, the gold was not sold and Zhou Junji did not have to pay a dime. Even after the two people drove out of the villa, Li Xiaoluo asked Zhou Junji to get out of the car holding the gold, and then drove away in the sports car. Zhou Junji was left alone and macy in the exhaust fumes of the sports car. Damn. Who is this person? He threw dozens of kilograms of gold to himself and then ran away. He is not afraid that he will swallow his gold. As for whether Li Xiaoluo defrauded him of his supercar, Zhou Junji had no such idea at all. After all, supercars are different from these unproven gold, and now the supercar is still in his name. After complaining for a while, Zhou Junji still called his friend and prepared to sell the gold. As for the beauties at the First People's Hospital, I can only go there later. But what Zhou Junji didn't know was that Li Xiaoluo had already arrived at the First People's Hospital in his sports car. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 8: The Joy of Spending Money. Li Xiaoluo walked into the First People's Hospital. Naturally, a large hospital will never be short of patients, but as busy as it is now, it will be miserable in a few days. Li Xiaoluo heard about the illness of Sister Shen Miao, so she went directly to the third floor. Doctor, please give me a little more time. I'll find a way to raise money right away. As soon as he arrived on the third floor, Li Xiaoluo heard a pleading voice. A beautiful woman in her 20s was bowing to a doctor in a white coat. Shen Miao, I'm sorry. The hospital has hospital rules. If you don't pay today, there's nothing I can do about it. Li Xiaoluo's eyes lit up. It took no effort at all. He met Shen Miao so quickly, and he felt that the timing was perfect. Shen Miao is very tall, at least 1.7 meters tall. Although she is only wearing an ordinary white short-sleeved shirt, her skin is white and tender, and her face is as pretty as a peach blossom, which seems to have stunned the entire hospital. The key is that her figure is very good. She is definitely 36E by visual inspection, but at this time, I felt pity for Shen Miao's pear blossoms and rain. There was confusion and helplessness in her eyes, which aroused a strong desire for protection in many men. After seeing her, many men have already finished their illness, but are reluctant to leave the hospital just to take one more look at Shen Miao or to meet her inadvertently in the corridor. Every time I see Shen Miao, who is as beautiful as an angel, but a little shy and timid when meeting strangers, those people claim that they believed in love again. However, although most men on this floor, whether they are male patients or doctors, are salivating over Shen Miao, but at this moment, no one dared to step forward to protect her. because their strength did not allow it basically. The men here have already inquired about Shin Myomeo's situation. There is a sister who needs millions of dollars in treatment costs in the early stage, and the subsequent treatment costs may be a bottomless pit. Who dares to be a hero and save the beauty if there is no mine at home? After all, beauty cannot be eaten as food, but what people don't expect is that there are people who spend a lot of money just to smile at Pomeranian. How much does she need to pay? I paid it for her. With one sentence, Xialuo suddenly became the most handsome boy on the third floor. Countless people looked at him with eyes full of disbelief and envy. Women envy Shin Myomeo, and men envy Xialuo, especially men. If they were rich, they would be willing to pay Shin Myomeo. I haven't seen those female celebrities on the internet, and the prices for just having a meal with them are sky high, and the Shin Myomeo in front of her was much more beautiful than those female stars. Shin Myomeo looked stupidly at Xialuo, who suddenly appeared. When she heard that Xialuo wanted to give her money, she did not show joy, but became even more panicked and confused, not knowing whether to refuse or agree. I stood there at a loss. What a fool. This is what Shin Myomeo really looks like. Although she is as beautiful as a fairy, she doesn't know how to dress up. She has a strong personality and is timid. Xialuo walked forward, glared at Shin Myomeo and said, "What are you looking at?" Then Xialuo said loudly to the people around him. Everyone commented that this woman had been in a relationship with me for 3 years and suddenly said she wanted to break up with me. The reason was that I was too handsome and made her feel insecure. Damn it, if I hadn't been more careful, I would have been deceived by her. Some men don't believe Xialuo's lies, and are even made to vomit by Xialuo's narcissism, but most of the audience showed the same expression, saying why a rich man suddenly appeared and spent a lot of money, and it turned out to be her boyfriend. Only Shin Myomeo was still in the fog. After she realized what she was doing, she wanted to say something, but she had already seen Xialuo dragging the doctor to discuss payment. She seemed to be an outsider. Xialuo was also very domineering. He never asked her for her opinion or gave her a chance to speak. Shin Myomeo quickly followed. She wanted to ask Xialuo what his intentions were. Although she is usually a bit naive and withdrawn, she is not stupid, showing courtesy for nothing, committing adultery or stealing. This man who suddenly appeared must have an agenda. As a poor student, besides his health, what else could he spend so much money on? For the sake of her sister, Shin Myomeo can actually agree, but should she give herself some time to think about it? How can there be such forced buying and selling? Like a frustrated little daughter-in-law, Shin Myomeo followed Xialuo and the doctor in small steps, and then watched them go to the ward to see her sister, then pay the bills and get medicines, which was a busy time. She felt as if she had become redundant. Lying on the hospital bed was Xialuo's sister. After the payment was completed, Xialuo felt relieved. Spend money to make him happy. After the general, another capable right-hand man has arrived. It is not yet certain whether the system can allow Xialuo to become an awesome superpower in this life, so Xialuo must first find some guarantees for himself. She is also a beautiful woman who I feel pity for and has a good personality. Who wouldn't like her? And it's also buy one get one free. Great discount. Shin Myomeo is known as the Snow Queen after the end of the world, ranking third in the ranking of superpowers. Although her sister is not very powerful in combat, she has a very rare auxiliary occupation. Also called a planter. In short, make a lot of money. After paying the money, Xialuo didn't have time to answer Shin Myomeo's 100,000 wise. Leave 10,000 yuan in cash for her to replenish her body and stop her from starving and losing weight. Then he left a message saying that if he had any difficulty, go to Longting Villa number 1 to find him, and then left gracefully. Anyway, Shin Myomeo has to take care of her sister now and has no time to cultivate a relationship with Xialuo, so she might as well talk about it later. Shin Myomeo was left a little messy in the wind. All this happened too suddenly, but she finally breathed a sigh of relief. Her sister was saved. At the same time, she firmly remembered the address Xialuo said. If he didn't come later, she would go there to find him. Not long after Xialuo left the hospital, a text message on his cell phone suddenly rang. Ling. Bank card income is 11 million, haha. Junji's speed in handling things this week was pretty good. He got it done so quickly, and he didn't charge any handling fees. But next, Xialuo still needs to convert some of the remaining gold and cash into working capital, so that it can be convenient to purchase supplies. As for Junji, after he asked a friend to sell the gold that Xialuo gave him, he immediately borrowed a car from the friend and then rushed to the First People's Hospital. His men had already found out the ward where Shin Myomeo's sister lived, and then successfully found Shin Myomeo. When Junji looked at Shin Myomeo, who looked handsome and had a superb figure. His heart suddenly became hot. Shen. My oh, I can help you pay for your sister's medical expenses. The condition is that you will be my woman for 3 years, and you will do whatever I ask you to do. Who are you? You're crazy. Shen Miao's sister's medical expenses have already been paid by her boyfriend. Before Shen Miao could speak, the doctor who was discussing the treatment plan with her couldn't help but got a boyfriend. When did Shen Miao have a boyfriend? Zhou Junji was dumbfounded by the rebuke, and was so angry that he vomited 3 liters of blood. Chapter 9 Long-Legged Beauty. Bank card balance. 199,999,999 yuan. Li Xialuo looked at his balance, which was not much, just 1 yuan and 200 million short. The money is used to renovate the Lord's mansion, and then hoard supplies. Save some. Li Xialuo barely has enough. As for what to stock up on in the last days, as a reborn person, Li Xialuo naturally has the most say in the early stage. It must be food and water, warm clothes, etc. After all, only by surviving the natural disasters ahead can we deal with the future at the beginning of the apocalypse. No matter you are a female celebrity or the richest man, you will have no food or drink, and your ironclad body will not be able to withstand it in order to survive. Some survivors would risk their lives for a piece of moldy bread or water, and some would sell their bodies. However, by the third disaster, the problem of food and water shortages had improved somewhat. After all, there is a lack of food and there are people who can grow supernatural powers. There is a lack of water resources, and there are also people with water powers, but it is only some improvements. Or the lives of some privileged people have been improved. The survivors at the bottom still have to suffer from hunger because superpowers are not omnipotent, and they need to consume crystals when using superpowers. As for the end of the world, for some capable people, food is no longer the most precious thing. Tobacco, alcohol, crystals, these are precious materials, but for Li Xiaoluo, stocking up on food and supplies must be a priority now because things like superpowers only appeared later. There were still several world-destroying natural disasters that needed to be overcome in the early stage. If you can't survive the first few disasters, you will naturally have nothing to do in the subsequent period of awakening your powers. Therefore, in the early days of the end of the world, having food and being able to survive is the most important thing. At the end of the last life, Li Xiaoluo lived for more than a year. But he did not have enough to eat for a day. The healthy young man who originally weighed 130 kilograms finally lost only about 70 kilograms. He really tried what it felt like to be blown away by the strong wind. So, don't think about anything now. Other supplies can be put aside, and food must be stocked up first. And to live a new life, in this life he must eat and drink every day after the end of the world. Otherwise he will not be able to live up to the sins he suffered in the previous life. Li Xiaoluo first rented a somewhat remote warehouse near Longting Villa. The warehouse is very large, covering an area of 2,000 square meters. Originally, the landlord required a minimum rent of 3 months. Li Xiaoluo only rented for 8 days. And he was still a little reluctant, but when he heard that 8 days counted as 1 month's payment, the landlord immediately signed the contract with a smile, then left a key and left. The money was so easy to earn that he really couldn't refuse it. Hey, who is it? Just after renting the warehouse, the cell phone rang, and Li Xiaoluo answered it easily. Li Xiaoluo, did you not save my mobile phone number? Li Xiaoluo recognized the voice on the phone as if it was an unfamiliar colleague. No, what's wrong with you? There was silence on the other side for a few seconds. The team leader asked me to tell you that you didn't come to work today, and you didn't ask for leave. He was very angry and told you to come here immediately, or you won't come tomorrow. No, then. When will you come over specifically? I said I understand, I won't go tomorrow. The other side was silent again. Why didn't Li Xiaoluo play his cards according to the routine? He took the initiative to call Li Xiaoluo just to show off in front of the team leader. But how did things become like this? I didn't say too many words just now. Li Xiaoluo hung up the phone regardless of what the other person thought. I had no intention of asking for a salary or resigning, so there was no need to waste words. However, Li Xiaoluo suddenly received a call from a colleague, which reminded Li Xiaoluo of many things. The company where Li Xiaoluo works is of a decent size, and although the salary is average, the working atmosphere is actually pretty good, and there are quite a few beauties. Li Xiaoluo's operation just now does not count. After all, he has just returned from the cruel apocalypse and has no intention of being polite. The person who just called is not bad. After all, there are 1 or 2 annoying people everywhere. Li Xiaoluo originally planned to go collect supplies, but this phone call gave him an idea. Li Xiaoluo found a person on WeChat. He was a salesperson from Li Xiaoluo's company. Although Li Xiaoluo and he were not in the same department, they were still familiar with each other. Then Li Xiaoluo called, "Old Wang, the rich man has a big job. Do you want to take it?" "What? Big job?" Not long after, a white SUV parked not far from Li Xiaoluo. Then a man and 3 women got out of the car, most of them young, handsome men and beauties. Among the 4 people, the one who came out of the cab was a young man. It was Lao Wang, who Li Xiaoluo had just called. His name was not important. Lao Wang is a salesperson for the company, but they usually do private work themselves to earn some extra money. The big job Li Xiaoluo told him was actually asking him to come over and run errands for him. In Li Xiaoluo's view, it is free labor anyway. Li Xiaoluo, the rich man you are talking about cannot be you, right? Looking at Li Xiaoluo, who was leaning next to the sports car, Lao Wang's eyes almost popped out of his head. What's going on? After not seeing each other for one night, there's a wealthy man driving a sports car next to him. The most important thing is that Lao Wang used to have a sense of superiority in front of Li Xiaoluo, which makes people a little uncomfortable. Li Xiaoluo, that's me, Lao Wang. Li Xiaoluo said, "Okay, let's talk about business first." "Oh, okay, tell me." "By the way, you asked me to call a few more reliable people, so I called Sister Zhao, Josiah Tuang, and Feng Xiaoyu. You may not be familiar with them, but you should have met them." Li Xiaoluo has indeed met Josiah Tuang. Why he talks about Josiah Tuang alone is because he has a deep memory. Just like when you go to school, you will be deeply impressed by the school beauty. If that school beauty happens to be your type, or you happen to have a crush on her, it will definitely leave a deeper impression. Josiah Tuang is recognized as a beauty in Li Xiaoluo's company. She has a pretty face and a tall figure. She often wears high heels with stockings and short skirts. Her silky legs, Li Xiaoluo usually glanced at it hundreds of millions of times. The men in the entire company believe the same thing as him. There is also a woman named Feng Xiaoyu, of average appearance, but wearing a super low-cut yellow belt, quite white. This woman is so bold in her clothes. If Li Xiaoluo was not reborn, he would definitely not be able to control his eyes. After all, as long as men don't have psychological or physical problems, they all like to watch it. But now Li Xiaoluo has long been immune to ordinary women like Feng Xiaoyu. The most indispensable thing after the apocalypse is this kind of ordinary woman. The people Li Xiaoluo wants are not necessarily at Shin Miao's level, but they must at least have supernatural talents. Chapter 10. This is no longer a big job, it may be an extraordinary punishment. Looking at the women brought by Lao Wang, Li Xiaoluo remembered that Josiah Tuang seemed to be from the personnel department. Feng Xiaoyu forgot, but she was definitely not from the sales department. So Li Xiaoluo looked at Lao Wang and said, "I may be busy here for several days, can they all do it?" "Don't wait for Lao Wang to speak." Josiah Tuang on the side said quickly, "I can do it. Our department is not busy right now, so we can take a long leave." Feng Xiaoyu said delicately, "Brother Li, I have no problem. I can do things for you. It doesn't matter even if I lose my job. At worst, I will follow you from now on." Josiah Tuang came here for money, because she wanted to make money. Feng Xiaoyu came here because of the rich man Li Xiaoluo called. She likes them all, whether they are the rich first generation or the second rich generation, but she never expected that the rich man turned out to be Li Xiaoluo, a colleague whom she had some impression of before but was unremarkable, and Li Xiaoluo didn't seem to be very interested in her. Don't ask Feng Xiaoyu why. She knows, it's a woman's intuition. But the less interested Li Xiaoluo was in her, the more interested Feng Xiaoyu was in Li Xiaoluo. In Feng Xiaoyu's heart, aren't all rich people so aloof? They have this privilege. She has no interest in those licking dogs that hang around her all day long and want their eyes to fall into her clothes. As for Lao Wang and Sister Zhao, the reason why they came so quickly was because Li Xiaoluo gave them too much money. They really can't refuse Li Xiaoluo no matter what the purpose of several people coming. Since they are all here, he will use it first. He was planning to have SX for nothing anyway, and he believed that they would all do a good job. Li Xiaoluo said, "Okay, let me first explain your work content and remuneration. First of all, it's the task of Lao Wang in purchasing, that's Sister Zhao. You just help me purchase materials. You don't need to keep the price too low, but the payment method needs to be discussed carefully. For example, if you can pay in installments, pay in installments as much as possible. If you can only pay part of it in advance, pay part of it first. If you can delay it, just delay it as much as possible. The delay should be at least a week." Listen to Li Xiaoluo's words. Lao Wang and Sister Zhao both looked weird. But the more they listened, the weirder they felt. However, Li Xiaoluo ignored them and continued, "As for your salary, Lao Wang, your daily salary is 10,000 yuan, and the construction period is about 8 days. If you perform well, there will also be a bonus of no less than the full salary. You can sign a formal contract, and you will be paid as soon as the construction period is up. Pay all wages immediately." Li Xiaoluo finished speaking. Lao Wang immediately said weakly, Mr. Li, what exactly did you ask us to purchase? I'm a little scared now, eh? Salary of 10,000 yuan a day is 80,000 yuan in 8 days. Then the bonus is not less than the salary, and another 80,000 yuan is added. Damn it, after all, they earn 160,000 yuan in 8 days. This is no longer a big job. It may be an extraordinary punishment. Although Lao Wang likes money, the pressure of his mortgage also makes him need money very much, but he didn't dare to do anything extremely punishing. Otherwise he would take advantage of others by working hard to provide for his house and girlfriend. In fact, despite the fact that the salary offered by Li Xiaoluo is very high, it can even be said to be sky-high. Earning 160,000 yuan in 8 days may not be possible for many people in 2 or 3 years. However, only Li Xiaoluo himself knows how long he has been cheating, because the construction period was 8 days, but it was already the end of the world at that time, so he didn't have to pay a penny of wages at all. But Li Xiaoluo doesn't feel any guilt. Anyway, they are working for other capitalists, so why not use their spare energy for themselves? There's nothing wrong with it. At least if you give them such a high salary, they will be very happy these days, right? Since Li Xiaoluo called them over, he was naturally prepared. He took out a small notebook from his pocket and handed it to Lao Wang. Some of the things I want to buy are mainly food, and of course some other supplies. I can even buy whatever I want depending on my mood in the future. Just take a look and do it if you can. If you can't, I'll find someone else. Lao Wang quickly took the small book. Although Sister Xiao on the side was the oldest, she couldn't wait to get closer. Make money without shame. I saw it written on the small book. First, daily food purchasing. McCann's family bucket produces 5,000 servings per day. Master Song's private dishes: boing bee chicken, boiled fish, spicy yellow beef, spicy lobster, are available for 1,000 servings per day. Braised vegetables, cold dishes, braised pig trotters, braised beef, chicken feet, chicken wings, duck neck, 5,000 kilograms per day. Fuji Seafood Restaurant: small snails cooked in spicy wine, boiled prawns, steamed Russian crab with garlic paste, spicy crab, 500 servings per day. The above are all chain stores, so the quantity is achievable. Not one store making so much every day. The delicacies written by Li Xiaoluo are basically what he likes to eat, and most of them are restaurants he has eaten at, or restaurants with very good reputations, except, of course, for the McCann family bucket on top. When he was still studying, Li Xiaoluo was actually very enthusiastic about fried chicken and Coke. He would panic if he didn't eat it for a few days, but as he got older, he rarely ate this kind of food. However, after the end of the world, there was a period of time when the hunger was unbearable, so Li Xiaoluo began to fantasize about all kinds of delicious food. He had also fantasized about the fried chicken and Coke, so naturally he had to stock up on some this time. Otherwise he would not be able to eat the original taste before the doomsday. There is a note at the end. The above food purchases were made for 8 consecutive days, with a budget of less than 10 million. 10 million may seem like a lot, but if all the delicacies written by Li Xiaoluo were purchased at the original price of the hotel, the payment would be made immediately upon arrival. Then you definitely can't buy as much as Li Xiaoluo asked for. For example, just to make 5,000 servings of McCann chicken family bucket per day, it would cost more than 300,000 yuan a day, and more than 2 million yuan in 8 days. Therefore, Lao Wang in purchasing Sister Xiao will need to negotiate at that time. First of all, for such a large quantity, there must be a discount and it needs to be negotiated. Secondly, there is the payment method mentioned before. Li Xiaoluo can accept a deposit of a few % of the total amount in advance, and the remaining balance will be paid in one lump sum after 8 days. It is also acceptable to pay the money for the first 3 days first, and the money for the next few days to be paid in one lump sum after 8 days. We are more able to accept all payments and pay them in one lump sum after 8 days, but I just can't accept the idea of cashing out everything immediately every day from childhood to adulthood. Li Xiaoluo has been a very frugal person. It's the same now. If Li Xiaoluo can save money, he can save money, and if he can have SX for free, he can do it for free. Buy the most things with the least money. It doesn't matter whether he is punished or not. Chapter 11: Stocking up on supplies in large quantities. In Li Xiaoluo's memory, The apocalyptic disasters began with the ice disaster, and the global temperature plummeted to -60 degrees. The ice disaster lasted for about 3 months. Then the ice and snow melted, heavy rain fell, and the whole world was basically flooded again. Then there were meteorites raining from the sky, viruses broke out, many humans and animals turned into zombies, and some monsters also appeared. It was also at that time that people with supernatural powers also appeared among the human survivors. Ice disasters, floods, zombies and monsters were the 3 disasters that Xialuo experienced in his previous life. As for whether there would be other natural or man-made disasters in the future, Xialuo didn't know. Therefore, the purchase list that Xialuo showed to Lao Wang included purchases of other supplies in addition to the food purchases. For example, medicines. Anyway, all common medicines should be available in pharmacies. For the time being, I will buy 100 copies of each, and then see if they have any way to get some special medicines to treat acute diseases. In fact, after the emergence of superpowers in the end of the world, ordinary medicines will basically no longer be needed by those with superpowers. Only ordinary survivors who are still alive will still need medicines to treat their illnesses. The medicines prepared by Xialuo were basically used to deal with ice disasters and floods in the early stages of the end of the world, so they did not purchase too many in quantity. Then there are some supplies to keep out the cold, such as cold-proof clothing, cold-proof underwear, cold-proof gloves, etc. There are also some supplies to deal with floods, such as diving equipment, waterproof clothing, and even motorboats, kayaks, small yachts, etc. Finally, in terms of food, in addition to the processed delicacies, Xialuo also requested to purchase a large amount of ingredients at one time. Among them, 200 tons of rice, 200 tons of vegetables, 200 tons of fruits, 200 tons of pork, 200 tons of mutton, 200 tons of beef, 200 tons of snacks. The total adds up to about 2,000 tons of various foods. It's not that Xialuo is not generous enough, he just buys 20,000 tons of each food item. First of all, of course, there is not that much money, and Xialuo cannot afford such a large quantity, even if he pays 30% of the payment in advance. Secondly, it is not necessary, because Xialuo's space is only 2,000 cubic meters for the time being, which can only hold about 2,000 tons of materials. Xialuo had a lot of supplies to buy and a lot of things to do, which was why he asked people like Lao Wang to come over if he is really asked to purchase so many supplies by himself, and find someone to renovate 2 safe lords' mansions, not to mention whether there is enough time, but it will definitely tire him to death anyway. Money is now a BD in the eyes of Xialuo. When the end of the world comes, he will spend it all without leaving any money, so things that can be solved with money are not problems. Moreover, calling people like Lao Wang over, in fact, it doesn't cost a penny at all, and the free labor is not used in vain. Lao Wang and Sister Xiao were dumbfounded after seeing what Xialuo wanted to buy. Although these foods and supplies are common things, they are definitely not contraband as they thought, but just because it was so common, Lao Wang and the others were dumbfounded because the things Xialuo needed to buy were really varied, and the quantities were also outrageous. There are people who buy 5,000 servings of McCanned chicken every day. And there are people who buy braised pork and just buy tons of it. How many people eat this? If not many people eat it, I'm afraid they will eat it until the end of time. But Xialuo didn't explain much to them. He paid them to work for him, and he was gone after everyone took a glance at it. Xialuo said, "How about it? Does anyone have any problems? Those who don't want to do it can leave." The purchasing Sister Xiao first said hurriedly, "Boss, I have no problem. I will do whatever you tell me, boss." Lao Wang originally wanted to ask a few more questions, but he still suppressed his curiosity and said quickly, "I don't have any questions, Joe." Xiaotong also nodded, although she couldn't understand how Xialuo suddenly became so rich and behaved in such a strange way to burn money. But it's not like spending their money, so why bother with so much? And Xialuo gave too much. The last one, Feng Xiaoyu, quietly walked to an angle where Xialuo could see the most clearly, then leaned down slightly and said delicately, "Young Master Li, I have always had no objection to listening to you, but you just arranged Wang. What are you doing with me and Sister Xiao?" "They haven't made any arrangements yet." Xialuo looked at the white snow and deep ravines that came into his sight. He had to say that the capital of this green tea was still very strong, but I remember hearing rumors in the company that Feng Xiaoyu had a boyfriend outside, but there were also several ambiguous backups inside the company. As for some men who are not qualified to be her backup, she is so arrogant that she will not even look at them, and she is very realistic and arrogant. Therefore, Xialuo and Feng Xiaoyu didn't actually have much contact with each other. They didn't see each other again after the apocalypse in their previous life. Therefore, Li Xiaoluo and Fang Xiaoyu have no grudges, and whether Fang Xiaoyu is good or bad has nothing to do with him now. Even if Fang Xiaoyu comes to her door on her own initiative, Li Xiaoluo will not like it, and there is no time now. In just a few days, Li Xiaoluo would not waste his energy on this kind of green tea. In Li Xiaoluo's eyes, the main task now is to seize the time to stock up on food and supplies, and then complete the system activation task. In this way, he can live freely in the apocalypse. As for women like Fang Xiaoyu, any piece of bread can attract a bunch of such women vying to sacrifice themselves in the apocalypse. Li Xiaoluo raised his head and glanced at a few people, and then said slowly, "Since no one has any objections and no one wants to leave, then I will continue to arrange the tasks. Lao Wang and Xiao Zhao are responsible for purchasing, and Fang Xiaoyu is responsible for staying behind. Zhou Xiaotuang, you will be my temporary secretary when it comes to receiving and counting supplies in the warehouse, watching everyone's progress for me, and then helping me run errands or handle some personal matters." Lao Wang and Sister Zhao nodded. Both of them had no objections. They are now intoxicated in the dream of earning 20,000 yuan a day. As long as they do not break the law, they are willing to let them be their grandchildren. But regarding Li Xiaoluo's arrangement, both Fang Xiaoyu and Zhou Xiaotuang showed a hint of astonishment on their faces, and then they wanted to speak. Zhou Xiaotuang was subconsciously conflicted when she heard about the position of secretary. Fang Xiaoyu didn't want to do the work of counting supplies. Instead, she really wanted to be a secretary, preferably a personal life secretary. But Li Xiaoluo didn't wait for them to speak, and said coldly, "Let me emphasize again, I will not let you do anything illegal. But you can only obey my arrangements. Don't bargain with me. If you don't want to do it, just leave." In fact, even if Fang Xiaoyu and Zhou Xiaotuang didn't speak, Li Xiaoluo could probably guess what they wanted to say. Fang Xiaoyu naturally found it very hard to receive and count the supplies, and she had not had the opportunity to develop a relationship with a rich man like herself, so she wanted to be the temporary secretary. Zhou Xiaotuang is just the opposite. In Li Xiaoluo's memory, Zhou Xiaotuang is much more self-respecting than Fang Xiaoyu. She must have some objections to the position of secretary, but everything is up to you. Chapter 12. The golden light shines in human eyes. Hearing Li Xiaoluo's domineering words, Zhou Xiaotuang and Fang Xiaoyu felt a little aggrieved, but I didn't dare to speak anymore and could only obey the arrangement. "Okay, since no one has any objections, let's start working after dinner. Today is the first time for everyone to cooperate. I invite everyone to have a potluck at my house as a reward." The older sister Zhao quickly said, "Boss, we haven't done anything yet, so we don't have to spend any money on it, right? When you are satisfied with our work, you can treat us to another meal." Lao Wang also quickly agreed. He also wants to get started early and see what this job is like. Li Xiaoluo waved his hand. "Okay, just listen to me, then." Li Xiaoluo got into the sports car and asked Lao Wang to drive the car and take Fang Xiaoyu and the others to follow. 10 minutes later, two cars stopped at the door of Longting Villa Number 1. "Master Li, this Longting Villa Number 1 is your home." After the group got off the car, Fang Xiaoyu looked at the villa area and the luxurious Villa Number 1 in front of him with bright eyes. Woof, woof woof. At this time, the general at the door ran over happily after seeing Li Xiaoluo, and then waggled his tail happily at Li Xiaoluo's feet. But when he looked at Lao Wang and the others, the general's eyes became sharp, as if anyone dared to make trouble, he would be treated like a dog. "Ah, Mr. Li, your dog is so big and powerful, it scares people." The general's appearance was indeed a bit formidable. Fang Xiaoyu deliberately pretended to be frightened, and kept patting his sizable chest gently with his little hands. But Li Xiaoluo didn't seem to hear it, and stroked the big dog named General with a smile on his face. A whole straight man, BD, so contemptuous of people. Even if Fang Xiaoyu has a nice city, a trace of ugliness flashes across his face, and in his heart he scolds Li Xiaoluo for being a human being. If Li Xiaoluo hadn't given her a lot of money and seen Li Xiaoluo's sports car and big villa, she wouldn't be so angry. Usually, whether they are in the company or playing after get off work, people who want to liquor have to queue up. "Let's go to my house for dinner." Li Xiaoluo first cultivated a relationship with the general before speaking. In Li Xiaoluo's heart, the general is indeed much more important than Fang Xiaoyu. The reason why Fang Xiaoyu and Lao Wang are able to come here is not because Li Xiaoluo really values them, but they may need help here later, so show them the way first. The other thing is to give them some more motivation. When a group of people entered the luxurious villa and came to the living room, They were completely shocked. Not that I was shocked by the size and luxury of the villa's living room, but on the coffee table in the living room, hundreds of bundles of cash and hundreds of gold bars were piled so casually on the coffee table. These gold bars and cash were all casually arranged by Li Xiaoluo. When Lao Wang and the others were changing their shoes after Lao Wang and the others saw it, Li Xiaoluo said casually, "I live alone, and the house is a bit messy. Some things that are not usually used are placed randomly." Lao Wang swallowed. The golden light was so dazzling. 100 gold bars, worth more than 5 million, were just thrown carelessly on the coffee table in the living room. Now, Lao Wang has a new understanding of Li Xiaoluo's heroism, and he no longer had any doubts about Li Xiaoluo asking them to purchase those supplies. Rich people can do whatever they want. The world of rich people is not something they can understand. Needless to say, Feng Xiaoluo, now she really wished that she and Li Xiaoluo were the only two people in the villa at this time, so that she could directly use her tricks. She didn't believe that Li Xiaoluo was a cat who didn't steal fish, but it doesn't matter. She must perform well these days and try her best to get the chance to be alone with Li Xiaoluo. In short, after Li Xiaoluo accidentally let Lao Wang and others see these things, they no longer have any concerns about the sky-high treatment that Li Xiaoluo promised them, and they are all very motivated. After dinner, Li Xiaoluo took Lao Wang and others to the warehouse he rented to find their way out, and then asked them to start working. Zhang Wen also began to work on the system's tasks to build 2 safe lords' mansions. After the end of the world, order will collapse, so in the initial ice disaster, in addition to purchasing food and cold clothing, you also need to have a safe enough shelter to resist the invasion of other survivors. Otherwise, those who are hungry and red-eyed will do anything for food. Li Xiaoluo drove his sports car back to the community where he originally lived, called Wutuangyang Community. Then Li Xiaoluo walked into the housing agency in the community. "Brother, Li is here. Are you sure you want to sell your house?" Li Xiaoluo lived in this community and had come to consult about selling a house before, so as soon as Li Xiaoluo appeared, a woman wearing a white shirt with a bulging chest immediately ran over and warmly received Li Xiaoluo. This female agent is called Wen Qin, and she is said to be single. She knew that Li Xiaoluo had a house and was still single, with only a joking fiancé, so she even hinted that Li Xiaoluo could pursue her. However, after Li Xiaoluo inquired about selling the house to pay off the debt, her hints disappeared, but she was still very enthusiastic and hoped that Li Xiaoluo would sell the house to her. "My house has been sold," Li Charlotte replied lightly. Wang Qin's expression suddenly changed, and she felt a little uncomfortable, as if she had eaten a fly. But Li Xiaoluo ignored her and said directly, "I'm here to rent a house this time. Isn't there a duplex on the top floor of my building for rent? I'll rent it." Wang Qin's eyes suddenly lit up again, and a smile appeared on her face. She confirmed, "Brother Li, you also know that the duplex house on the top floor is large and well decorated, so the rent is not cheap. Moreover, the owner of that house is not on the country, so there is no short-term rental. It must be rented for at least 2 years, and the rent must be paid for 1 to 3. Don't introduce me too much. Sign the contract right away and give me the key. If you can't do it, find someone else. If we can do it immediately." Wang Qin was stunned for a moment, then nodded immediately and said, although Li Xiaoluo seemed to be a different person, her tone of voice also made her feel strange and a little uncomfortable. But in this day and age, who can have trouble with money? After paying the money and getting the house key, Li Xiaoluo left the agency directly. Wang Qin looked at Li Xiaoluo's leaving figure with a complicated mood. This was the easiest deal she had ever made since she started working as an agency. Unfortunately, Li Xiaoluo's house was sold, so her thoughts about Li Xiaoluo were no longer so strong. After Li Xiaoluo took the house key out of the agency, he immediately called Zhandan Group. Zhandan Group is a large security company, and their business is to renovate safe houses. After hanging up the phone, Li Xiaoluo planned to go to the house he just rented and wait for someone from Zhandan Group to discuss the renovation. "Ah, Brother Charlotte, it's you. Come here quickly and I'll press the elevator button for you." As soon as I reached the elevator entrance, the elevator door that was about to close suddenly opened again. Then I saw a woman with jet black hair, a pure face, and a white dress waving to Li Xiaoluo with a smile on her face. Seeing the woman waving in the elevator, Li Xiaoluo's eyes suddenly turned cold. Chapter 13 White Lotus. Su Xiu. The woman in the elevator is named Su Xiu. Li Xiaoluo, who was killed together with Zhou Zhengji in the previous life. Speaking of which, Su Xiu's family has actually been neighbors who have lived across from Li Xiaoluo's house for many years. When Li Xiaoluo's mother was still alive, The relationship between the two families was very good. As for the children of the two families, Su Xiuxiu and Li Xiaoluo naturally have a very good relationship. When Su Xiuxiu was young, she often went to Li Xiaoluo's house to play with Li Xiaoluo. The adults of the two families even joked that they would have a baby date and get married when they grow up. Although it was a joke, Li Xiaoluo still had different feelings for Su Xiuxiu, especially after the death of Li Xiaoluo's mother. Su Xiuxiu's family was still very kind to him. Moreover, the grown-up Su Xiuxiu is also quite beautiful, and she is as close to Li Xiaoluo as she was when she was a child. She often calls her brother Xialuo very sweetly, so at that time, Li Xiaoluo really wanted to marry Su Xiuxiu. Every time her salary was paid, she would treat Su Xiuxiu to movies and meals, and then buy her clothes. Su Xiuxiu accepted all Li Xiaoluo's overtures, but she kept avoiding Li Xiaoluo's pursuit, neither agreeing nor rejecting a proper green tbch. In her previous life, when she learned that Li Xiaoluo had sold her house to pay off her debts, Su Xiuxiu immediately became indifferent to Li Xiaoluo, and then began to use various excuses to avoid Li Xiaoluo. In fact, the reason why Su Xiuxiu was hanging on to Li Xiaoluo before was not because they had feelings for each other since they grew up in the same building, nor was it because she liked Li Xiaoluo, simply because Li Xiaoluo is willing to spend money for her, and Li Xiaoluo owns a house. So she can barely be regarded as a high-quality spare tire. Su Xiuxiu's house is rented, not bought by her family, so a man who owns a house is Su Xiuxiu's lowest goal. When Li Xiaoluo sold the house, Su Xiuxiu completely drew a clear line between herself and Li Xiaoluo, but for the sake of reputation in the neighborhood, Su Xiuxiu did not explicitly ask Li Xiaoluo to explain, but just treated him coldly and ignored him. However, before Li Xiaoluo could see Su Xiuxiu's true face clearly in the previous life, the end came after the apocalypse. When she learned that there was still food at Li Xiaoluo's house, Su Xiuxiu pitifully asked Li Xiaoluo for help in order to find a supporter in the apocalypse. Later, Li Xiaoluo took Su Xiuxiu and fled to the Longding Villa area, and then met Zhou Junji. Then Zhou Junji became the ruler of the Longding Villa area because of Shen Miao. Only then did Li Xiaoluo completely see Su Xiuxiu's true face. It's a pity that Li Xiaoluo in the previous life was too affectionate. He was so affectionate towards his so-called father and also towards Su Xiuxiu, but it was too late when Su Xiuxiu's true face was clearly seen. In the end, she was tortured to death, and even Jill was mutilated. Refresh your mind. Li Xiaoluo looked at the innocent and lovely Su Xiuxiu, and his eyes unconsciously revealed a hint of coldness and murderous intent. Li Xiaoluo was already thinking about how Su Xiuxiu should die when he first came back from rebirth. Due to time and other reasons, Li Xiaoluo was not in a hurry to deal with those who had hurt him in his previous life, but in Li Xiaoluo's heart, he clearly remembered each of those faces. So when the system asked him to create two lords, Li Xiaoluo chose the addresses of the two lords at Longding Villa and his original home without giving it a second thought, because the people who had hurt him were in these two places. Su Xiuxiu felt chilled in her heart when she saw Li Xiaoluo's cold eyes. She had never felt such a look with murderous intent before, and it was a bit inexplicable. Brother Xialuo, what's wrong with you? Your eyes are so scary. Nothing. Li Charlotte said lightly. Are you going to kill Su Xiuxiu now? Li Xiaoluo still resisted the temptation. This was not Li Xiaoluo's plan. In Li Xiaoluo's plan, prepare food and supplies, stop thugs, activate the system. These are the priority things to do, and they are all major events related to his happy life in the future. He had lived a miserable life for so long in his previous life, and he didn't want to waste the precious few days before the end of the world because of this BCH, and then make his life miserable again. Moreover, killing is a heart-wrenching thing, and sometimes it would be easier for her to kill someone directly because Su Xiuxiu was protected by Li Xiaoluo in her previous life. She did not suffer much after the apocalypse, and did not feel the feeling of being hungry or freezing, which was worse than death, so revenge must be taken. But what Li Xiaoluo wants is to send all his enemies to death when the end of the world comes. It's better to have some fun in the last days and watch them slowly die miserably. After hearing Li Xiaoluo's answer, Su Xiuxiu finally confirmed Li Xiaoluo's cold attitude. Su Xiuxiu was trying to find out if anything had happened to Li Xiaoluo, so she was in a bad mood today. But Su Xiuxiu's eyes suddenly fell on Li Xiaoluo's hand pressing the elevator button. Brother Xialuo, why did you press the button for the 36th floor? We live on the 12th floor. I have already pressed the button, Li Xiaoluo said coldly. The original house was sold to pay off the debt, and the new rented house is on the top floor. Oh, that's it, Su Xiu was stunned for a moment, and then said something subconsciously. Then Xiu looked at Li Xiaoluo and wanted to say something, but in the end she didn't say anything. Even Li Xiaoluo's body, which was originally next to him, calmly stepped back a little and distanced himself from Li Xiaoluo then until Xiu reached the 12th floor and stepped out of the elevator. She just nodded towards Li Xiaoluo. Li Xiaoluo sneered in his heart. It is indeed very realistic, but it doesn't matter. I won't be protecting her in this life. It will be up to me how she will enjoy the end of the world. The elevator came to the 36th floor, opened the door with a key and walked in. The duplex room on the top floor was indeed large and well decorated. It was much better than Li Xiaoluo's own house. However, no matter how good it is definitely not as good as Longting Villa number 1. The reason why Li Xiaoluo chose this place was mainly because it is high and will not be submerged in floods. In fact, Li Xiaoluo knew in his heart that he was a reborn person and knew many things after the end of the world. As long as he prepared in advance, he would definitely be able to easily survive the upcoming ice disaster and flood, and live comfortably if there were really only ice disasters and floods. Then after Li Xiaoluo bought a large amount of food and supplies, and then personally dealt with those who had hurt him, he could find a few beautiful women to hide at home and do exercises every day. But in the third disaster, zombies and monsters will appear, and that will be the real beginning of the end of the world. There will also be supernatural beings among human survivors, and those supernatural beings will enslave ordinary survivors, which will make the survival of ordinary survivors very difficult. Having experienced a past life, Li Xiaoluo knew that he could not awaken his powers and was just an ordinary survivor. Now that he is reborn and has a system, everything is possible. Maybe he can become a superpower himself. But Li Xiaoluo still made 2 preparations for the future. He bought the general and intercepted Hu Shen Miao, all of which were precautions. Mr. Li Xiaoluo, I am the manager of Xiandan Group. My name is Wang Fake. Is the safe house you need to renovate this duplex house? The wealth manager of Xiandan Group looked at Li Xiaoluo with a strange look on his face. Originally, he did not need to do this kind of business in person, but Li Xiaoluo directly said tens of millions of dollars in business over the phone, and he immediately came to serve. But although this duplex house is quite large, the value of the house is not more than 5 million, right? Will anyone spend tens of millions to renovate it? Chapter 14 2 Safe Houses. Li Xiaoluo said calmly, yes, this duplex house on the top floor needs to be renovated. I want to renovate it into the highest and safe house. In addition, I also have a house called Longting Villa number 1, which also needs to be renovated. Then I have 2 requirements. The first is to be as low-key as possible and not attract too much attention from people around me. I don't like to look at others differently. Second, the renovation must be done quickly. It must be completed in 6 days. Can it be done now? The penthouse duplex in Longting number 1 villa are rented by Li Xiaoluo. Li Xiaoluo actually has no right to make renovations, but Li Xiaoluo is not worried at all, because the 2 houses he chose actually have special characteristics. That is, the owners of these 2 houses have gone to live abroad and usually do not return to China once in several years, so Li Xiaoluo can rest assured treat it like your own house. Even if it is really discovered by then, it will be too late by the time the owner of the house comes back from abroad. However, in order to avoid accidents, Li Xiaoluo's request should be as low-key as possible. Mr. Li, according to the conditions of the 2 houses you mentioned, we should be able to fulfill the first request. Because your penthouse duplex and Longting number 1 villa are relatively independent, it is more convenient for us to carry out construction and renovation. As for the second point, the 6-day renovation time is really too tight. Please take a look at our company's renovation plan first. You can choose one first, and then I can make a time assessment based on your renovation plan. After Wang Fake finished speaking, he respectfully took out his mobile phone and opened their company's official website. Their company has many plans for the renovation and evaluation of safe houses, etc., and they all have animation effects, so customers can understand them very conveniently. To be honest, Wang Fake did not expect that in addition to this duplex house, Li Xiaoluo also owned the Longting number 1 villa. He immediately believed what Li Xiaoluo said before about it. Tens of millions of big businesses for Li Xiaoluo spending tens of millions to renovate a safe house. Ordinary people may think he is a madman. After hearing this, in the eyes of ordinary people, this money is something they will never earn in their lifetime. If they had tens of millions, how could they go on a blind date? The beauties would come to them on their own if they had tens of millions, which would be enough to buy dozens of houses. Wouldn't it be nice to just lie down? But in Wang Fake's eyes, this kind of thing is actually very common. Many wealthy people cherish their lives very much and attach great importance to their own food, clothing, housing and transportation. Some rich people spend a lot of money to hire bodyguards from their companies, and some rich people spend money to build a safe residence, and their security company only takes money to do things. No matter who the customer is, as long as they pay the starting price, their Xialuo Group will meet all the customers' needs for security. Xialuo took a look at the official website. Xialuo Group is indeed a big company. Their business covers a wide range of areas. The construction of safe houses alone is very powerful. There is basically nothing they can't complete, whether you want to build a new safe house, renovate it, or even wherever your address is. They can accommodate it. Eastern infrastructure maniacs are no joke. Building 2 new safe houses is definitely not among Xialuo's choices. He doesn't have so much time to wait. As for renovation, Xialuo Group actually has many plans, but of course the cost and time required for each plan are different. In fact, Xialuo also knew that it would be impossible to complete the renovation of 2 top-level safe houses in 6 days, but Xialuo has a system. According to the requirements of the system, once the money is spent, the renovation of the 2 safe houses, Lord's Mansion, will be completed at that time. The system will reward the 2 Lord Mansions with a super enhancement. Therefore, Xialuo does not need the Xialuo Group to do too much. For example, some of the Xialuo Group's renovation plans are to renovate the entire house or villa, replacing the walls, floors, etc. That's no longer a renovation. It can be considered a new build, and the top-notch ones can be fireproof, explosion-proof, bulletproof, explosion-proof. It can be said to be stronger than a military fortress. Xialuo naturally does not need to go to such trouble. Xialuo's choice of renovation method was very simple. All doors and window glass were replaced with bulletproof and anti-theft ones. Then a layer of special alloy is added to the walls and ceiling, and then painted with paint. The last step is to install a monitoring system and add some defenses. After listening to Xialuo's request, Wang Fake thought for a while and said, "Mr. Li, it is not difficult if you want to modify it like this, and the cost is not high. But to be honest, the safety effect after your modification is actually quite limited." Xialuo immediately waved his hand, interrupted Wang Fake's words, and asked, "Isn't it expensive? If it is remodeled as I just did, how much will it cost?" Wang Fake thought for a while and said, "Your duplex house is about 1 million. As for the Longting number 1 villa you mentioned, because the area is much larger, the budget is around 2 million. Seeing Xialuo frowning, Wang Fake quickly explained, "Mr. Li, the price is indeed a bit expensive, but you require it to be completed within 6 days, so there will definitely be more manpower to work around the clock. The labor cost." Xialuo slowly stretched out a finger and said, "Manager Wang, I made it very clear on the phone that this business must be worth tens of millions. So whether it is this duplex house or a Longting apartment, over at Villa number 1, the renovation cost for each part cannot be less than 10 million. Wang Fake was stunned for a moment. Is there still such an operation? In fact, Xialuo didn't want to do this kind of operation, but the system required it. Wang Fake was stunned for a moment and said quickly, "Mr. Li, how about you change a renovation plan? Then give us more time, we will tear down the walls and other things for you, and then replace you with the top-notch multi-layer special alloy walls." Xialuo shook his head. Neither the plan nor the time can be changed, especially the time, which must be completed within 6 days, but the amount of each renovation must exceed 10 million. I don't care whether you replace the security doors and glass with the same style as the one used by the President of the United States, or change the alloy to space alloy. In short, money must be spent. After Wang Fake listened to Xialuo's words, he didn't know what to say for a while. It can only be said that he really doesn't understand the world of rich people. "Mr. Li, you can rest assured that our company can fully meet your requirements." Xialuo nodded and said, "Okay, but let me start by saying something ugly first. You should have a renovation budget of 15 million for each safe house, but the materials must be real and the price cannot be false at that time. I will arrange for my secretary and professionals to supervise the whole process. Secondly, it must be completed within 6 days, and the contract will set double liquidated damages if you do not complete it on time. You will need to compensate me 60 million. Wang Fake thought for a while and said, "Mr. Li, there is no problem. Our company's strength and reputation are guaranteed. However, your order is a bit special. You must pay 20 million in advance and accept the remaining 10 million. The final payment must be settled within 1 month after passing the exam." Okay, prepare the contract, and I'll send you the money right away. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 15. Shame on Ant Wang. Xianden Group, Li Xialuo signed the contract, and then transferred 25 million directly to Xianden Group. It was originally agreed to pay 20 million upfront, but Li Xialuo now transferred an additional 5 million because Li Xialuo has added some requirements for Longding Villa No. 1. For example, it must be able to withstand the low temperature of -60 degrees, and Longding Villa No. 1 must have normal water and electricity, and can live a normal life for at least 3 months. Originally, Li Xialuo wanted to do it by himself. He just wanted to buy some super solar power panels, stock up on some high-power generators, and then buy some extra large water storage tanks. But since the Xianden Group was used, we might as well let them solve it together. It is much easier and faster for such a large professional company to handle these matters or purchase some equipment than for Li Xialuo to do it himself. As long as Li Xialuo pays, he has the final say in everything before the apocalypse comes. Having money is the right thing to do anyway. This money was not earned by Li Xialuo, and it didn't feel distressing at all to spend it. Moreover, in a few days the money will be like waste paper, and even going to the toilet will be frowned upon. Now, of course, I have to spend more money. Zhou Xiaotong, the temporary secretary, was also brought here by Li Xialuo. Li Xialuo attached great importance to the renovation of the two lords' mansions, so someone needed to supervise it for him. Zhou Xiaotong stood tall and graceful behind Li Xialuo. Wearing high heels, her beautiful legs looked even more slender. Li Xialuo felt that she had the appearance and talent of a secretary. Watching Li Xialuo, the temporary boss, spend a lot of money, Zhou Xiaotong was really curious about this former colleague. And now the boss, why is he so rich suddenly? Is this series of strange actions of his because he has too much money to spend, or does he have an ulterior motive? It's a pity that Li Xialuo won't say anything to her now. Li Xialuo worked hard for a day, and then collected all the materials purchased by Lao Wang and the others today into the system space. Li Xialuo was in a good mood. He did a lot of things today, but the harvest was also huge. Driving a sports car and taking the general back to Wutuangyang community. Villa No. 1 in Longting is currently under emergency renovation and is not suitable for living in the past, so Li Xialuo still plans to return to his original house. Li Xialuo, why did you drive a sports car? After parking the car, Li Xialuo and the general were about to go home, when suddenly a fat ant blocked his way. Li Xialuo looked at the woman in front of him. This was Aunt Wang, who lived downstairs from him. When his mother was still alive, she would often visit his house, but this woman basically came to Li Xiaoluo's house to show off. In the past, she showed off that her husband was a civil servant, how good his workplace benefits were, and how good he was to her and her son. When Li Xiaoluo got a little older, she kept comparing her son with Li Xiaoluo to show how promising her son was. After Li Xiaoluo's mother passed away, although Aunt Wang didn't visit Li Xiaoluo's house often, she still had to compare him with her son every time she saw Li Xiaoluo, and talk about how outstanding her son was as an elder. He taught Li Xiaoluo a few words and pretended to take care of Li Xiaoluo for Li Xiaoluo's mother. Although Li Xiaoluo in her previous life hated her face, she had been a neighbor for many years and had a very familiar relationship with her mother. So in the last life, Li Xiaoluo was able to go out to look for food in the apocalypse. Faced with Aunt Wang and her son who came to him for help, Li Xiaoluo finally relented and gave her some food. But the ugliness of human nature will be infinitely magnified in the last days. Aunt Wang and her son took the food donated by Li Xiaoluo, ostensibly thanking them profusely, and promised not to leak it to anyone. But Aunt Wang and her son had no courage to go out to look for food, so after they finished the food given by Li Xiaoluo, they naturally asked Li Xiaoluo for food. Li Xiaoluo was naturally unwilling. He was not a bad person either. The reason why he helped Aunt Wang and her son was entirely because of the face of his deceased mother. But Li Xiaoluo's selfish approach naturally angered Aunt Wang and her son. In order to get food, they spread the news throughout the building that Li Xiaoluo had a lot of food. The last group of people broke down the door of Li Xiaoluo's house, beat him severely, and said that he was selfish and didn't care about everyone's life and death. Finally, they took away all the food in his house. Get out of the way. What kind of car do I drive, and what does it have to do with you? Li Xiaoluo looked at Aunt Wang coldly. Like other people who had heard him, Li Xiaoluo was not in a hurry to deal with them now. The public security in China can be said to be the strictest in the world anyway. When the end of the world comes, there will be plenty of opportunities, so there is no need to cause trouble for yourself now. And if there is no system, and there are no two lord mansions that can teleport to each other, Li Xiaoluo might choose revenge first, even if it means taking a certain risk. After all, Li Xiaoluo is also obsessed with taking revenge and killing those who hurt him in his previous life. But if there is no systematic teleportation array, his enemies will be in Wutuangyang Community and Longting Villa. Then it is not certain whether he can watch his enemies die with his own eyes. Therefore, if there is no system, even if Li Xiaoluo takes risks and puts aside other things, he will definitely take some time to deal with his enemies first. Otherwise, even if Li Xiaoluo can stand on top of the world in this life, he will definitely have regrets in his heart. But with a portal of the Lord's mansion, he can appear in two places at any time even after the apocalypse. So Li Xiaoluo is not worried about these people at all now and lets them play around for a few more days. Sometimes, killing someone directly will give them an advantage. You, kid, I am your mother's good sister and your elder. How do you talk to your elder? And Wang felt very awkward when she saw Li Xiaoluo's eyes. She didn't know what murderous intent was, but she knew that there was definitely no respect for her in the way Li Xiaoluo looked at her. The reason why Aunt Wang stopped Li Xiaoluo was because she couldn't accept that Li Xiaoluo could drive a starting car. Although she didn't know how much Li Xiaoluo's sports car was worth, she still had the most basic common sense. Sports cars are very expensive. Her most powerful son now only drives a car worth hundreds of thousands. How come the car Li Xiaoluo drives is so much better than her son? The person who always made her feel superior suddenly changed for the better, and Aunt Wang couldn't accept it at all, so she stopped Li Xiaoluo. In fact, what she wanted to hear most was that Li Xiaoluo said that the sports car was not his. As for whether Li Xiaoluo stole it, borrowed it, or rented it, it doesn't matter, as long as Li Xiaoluo is still the ordinary Li Xiaoluo. But not only did Aunt Wang not hear the answer she wanted to hear, but she was also treated coldly by Li Xiaoluo. Naturally, the good-looking Aunt Wang couldn't bear it anymore. Chapter 16. Only white flowers are seen. Looking at Aunt Wang, who looked angry, as if she had been greatly wronged despite her good intentions, Li Xiaoluo was too lazy to pay much attention to this kind of person, so he just said coldly, "Elder? Who do you think my elder is? Don't be so shameless, get out." And Wang looked at Li Xiaoluo in disbelief, as if she didn't recognize him. Is he still the polite person he usually behaves? Aunt Wang was used to gossiping and feeling superior in front of Li Xiaoluo's family. Suddenly she was treated like this by Li Xiaoluo. The gap in her heart made her unable to adapt at all, so instead of getting away, Aunt Wang directly opened her hands to block Li Xiaoluo's way. Li Xiaoluo, you UBD, where's your education? If you don't get out of the way, how dare you hit me, an old woman, elderly. People have privileges these days. As long as they are shameless, there is nothing the government can do against them. Aunt Wang was so sure that even if she gave Li Xiaoluo 100 courages, Li Xiaoluo would not dare to lay a finger on her. Otherwise, now that her face has been broken, she won't pretend to be a kind aunt. If Li Xiaoluo dared to lay a finger on her, she would lie down on the ground and live in the hospital for several months. It just so happens that I haven't had a physical examination for a long time, so I will have a full physical examination when the time comes. It would be better if the problem could be detected and Li Xiaoluo could pay for the treatment. Li Xiaoluo, I will tell you directly today. If you don't kneel down and apologize to me sincerely, I will stop you and pester you today. If you have the guts, you will bite me. At this time, Aunt Wang looked at Li Xiaoluo with a proud look on her face, saying that this little BD was uneducated and dared to anger her. It would be strange if she didn't teach him how to behave. Now Li Xiaoluo glanced at Aunt Wang, and then suddenly shouted, "General, woof! Woof woof!" The general on the side immediately ran forward quickly, like a soldier waiting for Li Xiaoluo's order. Li Xiaoluo pointed at Aunt Wang, who wanted to act in a bad way, looked at the general and said, "Someone is asking you to bite her. Let's help her." And Wang was a little scared when she saw the mighty general, but now she was frightened to death when she heard Li Xiaoluo's words. She quickly took a step back, and then looked at Li Xiaoluo in horror. "Li Xiaoluo, how dare you let your dog bite someone? Believe it or not, I will make you lose everything." Li Xiaoluo sneered and said, "What can I not dare to do? It was you who let my dog bite you. And I can afford to drive a sports car now. If my dog bites me, he will bite me. As long as he doesn't bite you to death, what do you think? You can stay in the hospital for the rest of your life." Aunt Wang felt a chill in her heart after hearing Li Xiaoluo's words. She didn't expect Li Xiaoluo to be so cruel now, and after thinking about it, it seemed that if she was bitten by Li Xiaoluo's dog, she would not only have Li Xiaoluo's dog pay the price, but also have Li Xiaoluo pay for the medical expenses. But in the end she would not get anything good. But if Li Xiaoluo doesn't care about the medical expenses at all, then she will always suffer, especially if the big dog bites off some parts of her body, or bites out a piece. Li Xiaoluo, don't think that just because you make some money you can be lawless and don't even care about the law. I just have a kind heart and I don't want to be like a junior like you today. And Wang left a few harsh words and then ran away quickly, for fear that the big dog would chase her away from behind. Looking at Aunt Wang running away, Li Xiaoluo did not let the general chase her. If he wanted to deal with her, Li Xiaoluo would do it himself, but that would disrupt Li Xiaoluo's plan and rhythm, so Li Xiaoluo is too lazy to deal with such people for the time being. Just as he was about to take the general home, Li Xiaoluo's cell phone rang again, and he saw that it was a wretched call from Fang Xiaoluo. For Fang Xiaoluo, Li Xiaoluo has neither good feelings nor dislike. If he had not had the experience in the previous life, Fang Xiaoluo would be considered a beauty in his eyes. Now that Fang Xiaoluo takes the initiative to find him, Li Xiaoluo will definitely be very happy. But now Li Xiaoluo was indifferent to Fang Xiaoluo's call and hung up directly after rebirth. Li Xiaoluo wants to live the best life, live in the best house, and eat the most delicious meals. Naturally, women also want the best. Fang Xiaoluo, who used to feel unattainable, now in Li Xiaoluo's eyes, is not even qualified to climb into his bed. Master Li, why don't you answer my call? You're hurt, Master Li. Are you still busy? Can I treat you to a late-night snack when you're done? I know a place with very delicious barbecue, especially roasted kidneys and grilled oysters, which are very authentic. Master Li, do you think this dress looks good on me? Li Xiaoluo hung up the phone directly, but Fang Xiaoluo over there obviously didn't want to give up and sent a lot of messages at once. Finally, there's a private photo of her. As for how private it is, Li Xiaoluo didn't see any clothes anyway, only a piece of white flowers. I didn't expect that Fang Xiaoluo was average in appearance, but her skin was really white, and her whole body was white. Li Xiaoluo is not Liu Xiaohu, so she does feel a little hot in her heart. Although Li Xiaoluo's main task now is to stock up on supplies and prepare for the end of the world. However, Li Xiaoluo will naturally not reject women. Many people say that in the last days, one has to save enough food and supplies to last a lifetime, and then take no one with him and live alone for the rest of his life, because only one person can have no betrayal. But Li Xiaoluo felt that people who have that kind of thinking are simply obscene, or are not good at certain aspects. Otherwise, even before the end of the world, the internet is so developed, and there are countless novels, games, movies, and variety shows on the internet to pass the time. But you let a person stay at home alone for several years without trying anywhere, not to mention that after the end of the world, there is no internet and no sound. It would be crazy if a person is left alone for a few years. Even if Li Xiaoluo's supplies can last him a lifetime, Li Xiaoluo may be bored and bury himself in the end. So for women, even if the end is coming, he will not reject her as long as it does not affect his plan. Of course, if he lives his life again, not all women can fall in his eyes. Although Fang Xiaoluo aroused sexual interest, Li Xiaoluo still ignored Fang Xiaoluo. He was wondering if there was another woman who could take his place. Su Xiuxi was the woman she had the closest relationship with in the previous life, but in this life, even if she took off her clothes and gave her to him for free, Li Xiaoluo would not even take a look at her. Li Xiaoluo unconsciously thought of Shen Miao, that beauty who was as beautiful as a fairy, and had a broad mind. Thinking of Shen Miao, Li Xiaoluo felt even hotter, but her sister was having surgery today, and even if Shen Miao wanted to repay her kindness, she would definitely not come out bite at this moment. Another message was sent to Wetchet. Boss, thank you for giving me this opportunity to make money today. Can I treat you to supper tonight? Li Xiaoluo took a look and saw that this time it was not from Fang Xiaoluo, but from Josiah Tong. Li Xiaoluo replied, okay, I'll give you a chance. Pack some barbecue and come to the community where I live. Just 100 skewers of grilled kidneys and 100 grilled oysters. Chapter 17. Delicate and charming. Josiah Tong came very quickly. When the tall and pretty Josiah Tong saw Li Xiaoluo, her face turned a little red, making her look even more charming. Josiah Tong didn't know what was wrong with her. In the past, she often read on the internet that many women would pay any price to cling to those rich men. Josiah Tong felt that if it were her own case, she would definitely not be so mean. For money, she would even serve men who were about to be buried. As I said before, Josiah Tong is recognized as the most beautiful woman in Li Xiaoluo's company. Her long and beautiful legs with high heels and stockings have made many men in the company obsessed with her. There is no self-confident man in the entire company, and he cannot even think of pursuing Josiah Tong in addition to the men in the company, because Josiah Tong is very good at dressing up. There are not too many men who want to pursue her in daily life. Even if she buys a cup of milk tea, many men will deliberately strike up a conversation among the men who pursue Josiah Tong. There are many handsome ones and some with a small fortune, so in Josiah Tong's opinion, she would definitely not sell her body for money. But it was not until today that Josiah Tong discovered that although some of the men around her were relatively wealthy and had houses and cars at home, their assets would not exceed 5 million. This kind of wealth is really not worth mentioning in front of truly wealthy people. For example, Li Xiaoluo lives in the Longding Villa No. 1 and drives a multi-million sports car. Even if he renovates the house, he spends tens of millions without blinking an eye. Today, Josiah Tong truly saw what it means to live a rich life. It also had a huge psychological impact on her, especially when he saw his colleague Feng Xiaoluo posing every chance he got in order to attract Li Xiaoluo's attention. Josiah Tong felt a little strange. If Feng Xiaoluo really gets along with Li Xiaoluo, then she will be her boss's wife from now on, and she will have no worries about food and clothing for the rest of her life. So Josiah Tong was in a very complicated mood after get off work, and then sent a message by mistake to treat Li Xiaoluo to a late-night snack as for what to do after midnight snack. Josiah Tong really didn't think about it. She felt that she was not that kind of person. If Li Xiaoluo was willing, she wouldn't mind contacting Li Xiaoluo first, but Josiah Tong didn't expect that Li Xiaoluo's reply would be so direct. I went to Li Xiaoluo's house to have a barbecue, and it was all about kidneys and oysters, which are great tonics. I believe the meaning has been expressed clearly. However, Josiah Tong hesitated, and finally bought those barbecues and rushed over according to Li Xiaoluo's request. After all, Li Xiaoluo was also a colleague before. She believed that Li Xiaoluo would not force her to come if she didn't want to, otherwise he would have done it long ago. Moreover, Li Xiaoluo's wealth really shocked her and changed her vision, so she really wanted to get closer to Li Xiaoluo. Li Xiaoluo took Josiah Tong and then led the general back to his original house. However, Li Xiaoluo didn't realize that the previous Aunt Wang had been hiding in secret and observing him. Then Aunt Wang saw a very tall beauty wearing a short skirt and high heels come to Li Xiaoluo and smiled sweetly at Li Xiaoluo. Aunt Wang suddenly felt unhappy again. Her son graduated from a prestigious university, and now she is still the big boss, but the car she drove was not as good as Li Xiaoluo's, and even the girlfriend she brought back to her was not as good as the woman who came to see Li Xiaoluo. The beauty who came to see Li Xiaoluo just now is tall and beautiful, and has a big butt. The children she will give birth to will definitely have excellent genes. Aunt Wang was so angry that she was used to feeling superior in Charlotte Li's house today. Li Xiaoluo scolded her first, and then set a dog to bite her. Now she despises Li Xiaoluo even more. But Aunt Wang suddenly remembered, wasn't this Li Xiaoluo having an affair with that girl Su Xiu? Now this is it. Okay, this Li Xiaoluo actually dared to ride on 2 boats, and this time she was caught. So after Aunt Wang was sure that Li Xiaoluo had really brought that woman home, she immediately knocked on the door of Su Xiu's house. Oh, Aunt Wang, why are you here so late? Are you looking for my mother? My mother is watching TV. The person who opened the door was Su Xiu. When she saw that the person coming was Aunt Wang, Su Xiu said politely, Xiu, I'm not here to see your mother, I'm here to see you, sister. Wang, why did you come to our Xiu? Hearing the movement at the door, a middle-aged woman in her 40s got up and walked to the door. Ah, Mom Xiu, you came just in time, and you can listen to it just in time. This is related to the happiness of your family Xiu for the rest of her life. And Wang, does it affect my happiness in the rest of my life? What on earth is going on? Yes, Sister Wang, what is going on? And Wang glanced at Su Xiu and the others, and then glanced at Li Xiaoluo's family opposite. Then he whispered, Xiu, I just came back from outside and happened to see your Li Xiaoluo coming home with a sexy woman. And Wang, don't talk nonsense, sister. Wang, don't talk nonsense. And Wang said hurriedly, believe me, I really saw Li Xiaoluo bring the woman home with my own eyes, and I didn't tell a lie. Su Xiu looked unhappy and said, Aunt Wang, Li Xiaoluo and I are just friends. What does it have to do with me whether he brings a woman home or not? Don't get me involved with Li Xiaoluo, although Su Xiu felt a little uncomfortable. She thought she could distance herself from Li Xiaoluo, but Li Xiaoluo found a new love so quickly. As if she was not attractive at all, shouldn't he be sad for a long time and then come to haunt him? Su Xiu's mother also knew from her daughter that Li Xiaoluo had sold all the houses, and she used to think that Li Xiaoluo was not worthy of her daughter, and now she naturally despised Li Xiaoluo even more. Su Xiu's mother looked at Aunt Wang with the same ugly expression as her daughter and said, "Sister Wang, our Xiu and Li Xiaoluo are just good friends. Don't talk nonsense. Our Xiu hasn't talked about a boyfriend yet." Aunt Wang looked at Su Xiu and her daughter in confusion, not knowing what to say. For a moment I originally thought I had caught Li Xiaoluo. As long as I told Su Xiu about this matter, Su Xiu's family would definitely go to Li Xiaoluo to make a big fuss. By then, everyone in the neighborhood would know about Li Xiaoluo's character at that time. Aunt Wang wants to see if Li Xiaoluo still has the nerve to show off to her, and if he has the nerve to establish himself in the community. But she finally complied with the evidence she found most of the night, and then came over to Su Xiu's house with great excitement to claim credit, but her teammates didn't cooperate. Chapter 18. I'm not pretending to be a coward, I'm just greedy for your body. Naturally, Li Xiaoluo had no idea about Aunt Wang's little moves, and even if Li Xiaoluo knew about it, he wouldn't care. Anyway, even if he didn't deal with them, these people wouldn't be able to survive for a few days. What's more, Li Xiaoluo, who has been reborn, is not so kind. How can he let go of those who have hurt him? Even if those who have hurt him want to die in this life, Li Xiaoluo will make their death uncomfortable. At this time, at Li Xiaoluo's house, the tea table was filled with dabu barbecue brought by Josiah Tuang, and several bottles of cold beer were also placed. Eating barbecue without beer would be soulless. The general lay at Li Xiaoluo's feet, happily chewing on the beef and big bones Li Xiaoluo had prepared for him. The dog's face was full of excitement and satisfaction. As long as he can remember, he has never had such a good meal. After joining the new owner was really good to him. Li Xiaoluo, thank you for giving me this opportunity to make money. Let me toast you first, Joe. Xiaotong poured wine for Li Xiaoluo sensibly, then poured a glass for herself, picked up the glass and said to Li Xiaoluo with a smile on her face. Li Xiaoluo looked at the beautiful woman in front of him, and many memories flashed through his mind. Li Xiaoluo remembered that the company he worked for previously had thousands of people, and most of them were young men and women, but Josiah Tong was definitely the most beautiful woman in the company. She has a tall figure, a beautiful face, and always has a charming smile on her face. She wears a short skirt with high heels and flesh-colored stockings, which is both sexy but still decent and dignified. At that time, few men in the company were afraid that they would not have wild thoughts about her. There is an endless stream of people who work hard to show their hospitality. Everyday beautiful women basically have the same hobbies as men, especially in a society where the ratio of men to women is imbalanced. One can imagine the popularity of beauties like Josiah Tuang. It can be said that men who are not confident enough will not have the courage to pursue her. Just like the most beautiful school belle in the school when he was studying, there may be few boys who are not attracted to and like her. But not every boy who likes the school belle has the courage to express his feelings. Most people are still self-aware. However, these are all things from the past life. As long as Li Xiaoluo thinks about it in this life, there is no woman he can't get. As long as the disaster of the end of the world comes, no matter how beautiful a woman is, she will succumb to a piece of bread if one loaf isn't enough. Get two. So Li Xiaoluo could only see whether he wanted a woman, but not all women could catch his eye like Fang Xianwei. Although she is quite sexy, she doesn't arouse his sexual interest at all. As for Josiah Tuang, it can be regarded as a good memory in Li Xiaoluo's heart, so he doesn't mind satisfying his previous thoughts. Now Li Xiaoluo picked up the wine glass. Okay, let's have a drink first. The two clinked their glasses and drank it all in one gulp. Josiah Tuang didn't know if she was not good at drinking. After drinking a glass of beer, her face immediately turned red. Looking closely, Josiah Tuang's skin is white and rosy, really pink and smooth. Li Xiaoluo was already angry in his heart, but now he's even more excited after eating a few bunches of kidneys. Li Xiaoluo looked at Josiah Tuang and said, I have a more profitable job. Do you want to do it, Joe? Xiaotong quickly said, What, Joe? Xiaotong's family is not from a wealthy family, and her usual salary is only about 6,000 to 7,000. Although the work is not too tiring, the salary is actually barely enough to cover her expenses. So if possible, she naturally wants to make more money in this world. No one has trouble with money. Li Xiaoluo looked at Josiah Tong and said, How about being upgraded to my personal secretary? and you get 1 million for every work day. Xialuo stopped pretending now. He called Zhou Xiaotong over because he was coveting Zhou Xiaotong's body. Zhou Xiaotong did not expect that Li Xiaoluo would be so straightforward and not hide his purpose at all. Seeing Li Xiaoluo's unabashed aggressive gaze, Zhou Xiaotong's face blushed even more. Although Zhou Xiaotong was actually somewhat prepared before coming, she did not expect that Li Xiaoluo's method would be so direct. Zhou Xiaotong thought that Li Xiaoluo would take the opportunity of having barbecue to say a lot of emotional words to express his love to her, and then he tried every means to see if he could cook the rice. Zhou Xiaotong has always been hesitant in her heart. She was thinking about whether to agree to Li Xiaoluo's confession. Zhou Xiaotong actually doesn't have much affection for Li Xiaoluo. Although they were in the same company in the past, they had very little contact with him, and they were basically familiar faces. Although she got to know Li Xiaoluo again today, and her impression and affection for Li Xiaoluo increased, but if she said that she fell directly in love with Li Xiaoluo today, it would definitely not happen. Therefore, although Zhou Xiaotong was not angry about Li Xiaoluo's straightforwardness, he was definitely feeling a little uncomfortable. After all, Li Xiaoluo's pursuit of her and throwing money at her like this must give her a different feeling. Of course, the main reason is that she has never encountered such a situation. Although there are many suitors around her, no one can throw money at her yet. Zhou Xiaotong opened her mouth and wanted to refuse, but for some reason, her words came to her lips, but she did not say them out. Zhou Xiaotong was silent. In fact, although she was there for the first time, she was not a chaste and martyr woman. She just didn't want to make do with just finding a man. So although Li Xiaoluo's approach made her a little uncomfortable, she was actually not too disgusted. 1 million a day. This price made her feel valued. There is no shortage of close friends around Zhou Xiaotong who are more vain than she is, so she naturally knows some more obscure things. For example, some college students take private jobs for a few hundred yuan at a time, and the more beautiful ones only cost 1 or 2,000 yuan. If it's a monthly subscription, it's only tens of thousands per month. There are also those small models and even some female stars. It is said that the price is clearly marked, and the price does not cost 1 million a day. Women are sometimes contradictory creatures. Seeing Zhou Xiaotong, who was blushing and silent, Li Xiaoluo smiled. In this era, people laugh at the poor but not at the prostitutes, and Li Xiaoluo didn't mean to look down on Zhou Xiaotong. Li Xiaoluo was eating barbecue, and then said slowly, "Stay with me for 10 days, 10 million. Even if you don't have 10 days, I will give you 10 million. As for 10 days later, what about then?" In fact, for Zhou Xiaotong, Li Xiaoluo wanted to make up for the regrets in his previous life. After all, this was the woman he had fantasized about. But when the end comes, Li Xiaoluo may not necessarily keep Zhou Xiaotong because Zhou Xiaotong is not Shen Miao Miao. Li Xiaoluo didn't know whether Zhou Xiaotong had awakened her powers in her previous life, so Li Xiaoluo would not be a burden just because she became his woman. That's why Li Xiaoluo proposed to support her on a daily basis, rather than on a long-term basis. We'll see what happens when the time comes. Chapter 19, Understanding Others. 1 million a day, 10 million in 10 days. Zhou Xiaotong couldn't help but swallowed. In this age full of material desires, there may be chaste and fierce women. Even Zhou Xiaotong used to think that she was one. After all, some of the men who pursued her in the past gave her expensive clothes, bags, and mobile phones, but Zhou Xiaotong did not accept any of them. Now it seems that it was not that she could resist the temptation before, but that the previous temptation was too small in the past. The gifts that men gave her when they were pursuing her basically didn't exceed about 10,000. Even if they hinted that they would buy her a car or a house after they got together, it would only be about 1 or 2 million. However, those men who could spend 1 to 2 million for her either made a lot of demands, or were old enough to be her grandfather, which really made her want to vomit. But now that Li Xiaoluo made such an unreasonable request, although Zhou Xiaotong felt a little conflicted in her heart, she actually didn't have much resentment. First of all, Li Xiaoluo really gave too much, which really made people unhappy. Secondly, through today's interaction, Li Xiaoluo now gave Zhou Xiaotong a very mysterious feeling, which made her want to know more about Li Xiaoluo. I saw Zhou Xiaotong's expression changing constantly. But he didn't refuse. Li Xiaoluo smiled and didn't ask any more questions. Instead, he stretched out a big hand and hugged Zhou Xiaotong's thin waist. What are you doing? Zhou Xiaotong was hugged by Li Xiaoluo, smelling the manly scent of Li Xiaoluo, and shouted with some panic on her face. But for some reason, Zhou Xiaotong didn't subconsciously say anything about her resistance. If it were Li Xiaoluo in his previous life, He would definitely not be so courageous at this time, but this life is different now that he has money, and the end of the world is coming soon. He naturally becomes bolder, and to be blunt, there is no woman he wants in the future, and it may be difficult for a woman without supernatural talents to catch his eye no matter how beautiful she is. The reason why he can look at Josiah Tong now is not only that Josiah Tong is really beautiful and temperamental, but also partly because of the plot of his previous life. After all, she is the woman he once fantasized about. Isn't it necessary to be reborn once more to make up for regrets? If you don't speak, doesn't that mean you agree? Warm breath came from Josiah Tong's earlobe, as well as Li Xiaoluo's bad voice. The beautiful blush on Josiah Tong's face was even worse. She had really been fighting in her heart for a long time and thought a lot, but she did not reject Li Xiaoluo even after Li Xiaoluo took action. Josiah Tong's refusal was still not spoken directly. She didn't know what was wrong with herself. Maybe she was originally a materialistic woman, but there was no one or price that made her heart beat before. Just as Josiah Tong was thinking, something strange on her body brought her back to reality. It was obvious that the man's hands were no longer content to wrap around her slim waist. Josiah Tong wanted to stop it, but it was going too fast. She really wasn't mentally prepared for the final step, but Li Xiaoluo blocked Josiah Tong's mouth directly and domineeringly, and his big hands were even more considerate. Josiah Tong's words finally turned into hem sound, and she had no idea what she was talking about. The next day, the dazzling sunshine made Li Xiaoluo open his eyes. No need to look at the time. It must be a little late, but what does it matter? The end is coming. From now on, we no longer have to get up early and work late at night. We can get up at any time we want. Well, whereas Josiah Tong, Li Xiaoluo suddenly came to his senses. Yesterday, he was not only reborn and no longer had to work, but he also won the goddess in the eyes of men in the entire company. Thinking of last night's scene, Li Xiaoluo felt a little hot in her heart, especially Josiah Tong's pair of 1.8-meter beautiful legs, which are not only good for legs, but also have many benefits. Li Xiaoluo worked hard for a long time last night, which may be one of the reasons why he got up late today. After she woke up completely just now, she planned to continue to find Josiah Tong to study the positions she had not tried last night and take advantage of her long legs, but she did not expect that Josiah Tong was not in bed. This woman's recovery ability is strong. You're awake. I've made breakfast. You can get up and eat it. The bedroom door was pushed open, and Josiah Tong walked in wearing a hip-covering short skirt and silver high heels. Tall, beautiful, plump and voluptuous. As one night passed, Josiah Tong seemed to be even more beautiful. Come here and help me get dressed. Li Xiaoluo directly lifted the quilt, then walked out of bed and waved to Josiah Tong. Seeing Li Xiaoluo's appearance, Josiah Tong immediately wanted to turn around. Why is this man like this? But thinking about what happened last night, she felt like it was no big deal. Everything that should have happened last night happened, and even things that shouldn't have happened. But Josiah Tong was a little speechless. This guy really thought he was a wealthy landlord. In what age are you still serving him clothes? I wonder if the status of women in this era is very high. But what made Josiah Tong secretly hate herself for not living up to expectations was that after meeting Li Xiaoluo's unyielding look, she actually walked over obediently. Maybe it's because I got used to being obedient. Last night after getting dressed, the two people came to the dining table and looked at the steaming breakfast on the table, which was obviously freshly prepared instead of buying ready-made ones from outside. After taking a bite, Li Xiaoluo looked at Josiah Tong in surprise. I didn't expect that. Your craftsmanship is pretty good. In Li Xiaoluo's memory, Josiah Tong should be a white-collar beauty with a refined life. She was the kind of woman who never touched the beauty of beauty. She didn't expect that she could even work in the kitchen, as long as you like to eat. Hearing Li Xiaoluo's compliment, Josiah Tong's beautiful face showed a smile. I don't know why, but Josiah Tong was inexplicably happy after hearing Li Xiaoluo's compliment. After breakfast, Li Xiaoluo was ready to continue working on today's affairs. As soon as Li Xiaoluo opened the door, she happened to meet Xiu, who was next door, also walking out of the house. There was also a man wearing glasses standing outside Xiu's house. Xiu, this is your favorite breakfast that I drove to your favorite breakfast shop. And I know you have a day off today, so I sent my Audi A6 for maintenance yesterday. I will take you with me today. Let's go to the beach to play. The man with glasses was about 30 years old, not tall, and looked weak, but his eyes shone when he looked at Xiu, and then he quickly handed over the breakfast he bought with a smile on his face. Yang Wei, thank you. I remember that breakfast shop is quite far away from your home. I was really touched, Su. Xiu took the breakfast from the man with the glasses with a very moved expression on her face, and then showed a charming smile towards the man with the glasses in the pond she raised. The man with the glasses actually had good conditions. His father was a retired official, he was also a civil servant, and his family had a house and a car. The only thing that Su Xiu disliked was that the man with the glasses was short and average looking, so he was not her type. So in the past, Li Xiaoluo had more weight in her heart than the man with the glasses. After all, although Li Xiaoluo had an average job before, he also had a house and was tall and strong, but now, the weight of the man with the glasses has surpassed that of Li Xiaoluo. Chapter 20 Going Crazy with Jealousy. Brother Charlotte, aren't you going to work today? When Li Xiaoluo opened the door of his house, he naturally heard the words of Su Xiu and the man with the glasses. In the past, Su Xiu had always maintained an ambiguous distance from Li Xiaoluo, so if Li Xiaoluo saw this situation, she would still be a little nervous, but now, she has crossed out Li Xiaoluo from her spare list, so she has nothing to hide at all. To be seen is to be seen. Instead, she still greeted Li Xiaoluo enthusiastically. After all, her image still had to be maintained, but Li Xiaoluo didn't even look at Su Xiu, let alone respond to her. Su Xiu's face immediately became ugly. Are you Li Xiaoluo? Why are you so rude? Xiu mentioned you before, saying you were a good person. I didn't expect that just after being dumped by Xiu, you would become so ungentlemanly. Fortunately, Xiu has a good eye. Zhu, I broke up with you early. The man with the glasses has obviously heard of Li Xiaoluo's name. Su Xiu often used Li Xiaoluo as a shield in the past, therefore, among Su Xiu's suitors, Li Xiaoluo is relatively famous. Although I don't know why Su Xiu suddenly dumped Li Xiaoluo and changed her attitude towards him drastically, but the man with the glasses was naturally very happy. After pursuing Su Xiu for so long, he finally saw the hope of winning. However, Yang Wei still felt that Li Xiaoluo was quite threatening. After all, he was taller and more handsome than him. He was afraid that Su Xiu would want to have a rekindled relationship with Li Xiaoluo. Therefore, in his eyes, Li Xiaoluo's non-response must be because Li Xiaoluo is sad, but he just wants to trample on others, in order to severely amplify Li Xiaoluo's shortcomings and completely destroy the relationship between the two. Roll. Li Xiaoluo didn't say much and just sent a word to Yang Wei, the man with the glasses. When Yang Wei faced Li Xiaoluo's insults, his face originally showed an angry look, but suddenly he seemed to think of something, and then his face immediately changed to a generous smile. Li Xiaoluo, you have a bad temper. In this day and age, beautiful women need to be taken care of. With your attitude, do you still expect a woman to fall in love with you? But the man with the glasses just finished speaking. My dear, I've packed up the trash. We can go. By the way, I forgot that you have resigned and don't have to go to work. Just continue walking the dog today. I'll go to work first. My salary's enough for us. Drink. At this moment, Josiah Tong, holding garbage in his hand, came out of the room and stood behind Li Xiaoluo. Then he stretched out a hand to hug Li Xiaoluo's arm with a gentle look on his face. She has a tall figure, a pair of round and slender legs, and a delicate and beautiful face. Josiah Tong, who suddenly appeared, was much more beautiful than Su Xiu, and was much better in every aspect. The appearance of Josiah Tong immediately shocked both Su Xiu and Yang Wei. Li Xiaoluo actually found such a beautiful and temperamental woman, and this woman was so gentle and considerate to him. What's wrong with this world, Li Xiaoluo? Why should he, at this time? Su Xiu and Yang Wei felt very uncomfortable. Su Xiu knew yesterday that Li Xiaoluo had brought a woman home. Although she felt a little uncomfortable with Li Xiaoluo's behavior, she also concluded in her heart that the woman Li Xiaoluo brought home must be an ordinary thing. She even thought that she might be the woman Li Xiaoluo found with money to deliberately stimulate her. But now that she saw Josiah Tong's appearance, she no longer had that thought in her mind, but she felt even more uncomfortable. How could Li Xiaoluo find such a beautiful woman after leaving her, and he still allowed such a beautiful woman to feed him? After all, Su Xiu already knew that Li Xiaoluo's house was sold yesterday. Looking at Li Xiaoluo's situation today and what Josiah Tong meant, he didn't even have a job, but this beautiful woman was willing to go out to work to support Li Xiaoluo, while Li Xiaoluo only needed to walk the dog. This really makes Su Xiu unable to understand. If she had a face and figure like Josiah Tong, what kind of rich second generation would she be looking for? Why would she waste her time on a loser like Li Xiaoluo? What are the strengths of Li Xiaoluo? As for Yang Wei, the man with glasses, who felt uncomfortable, he was going crazy out of pure jealousy in his heart. Doesn't this Li Xiaoluo have a good skin? How can anyone else compare to him? How could a beauty of this level fall in love with him, and yet still belittle his own beauty? That's right, in Yang Wei's view, Josiah Tong is just making fun of herself. Li Xiaoluo is a grown man who doesn't go to work and is only responsible for walking his dog. Then he needs Josiah Tong to work to support him in looking at the situation. Josiah Tong is also doing the dirty work like taking out the trash every day, thinking about all the dog-licking behaviors he had done in order to pursue Su Xiu. He really got angrier the more he thought about it. While Su Xiu and Yang Wei were feeling depressed, Josiah Tong secretly winked at Li Xiaoluo. Curiously, the words she just said were deliberately meant to save face for Li Xiaoluo. They were to remind him not to spill the beans. Li Xiaoluo looked at Josiah Tong's performance with some humor. In fact, in his eyes, Su Xiu was a dead person, and the man with glasses next to him was a clown. He didn't bother to pay attention to them at all, but after a few words from Josiah Tong, it was quite satisfying to see their surprised and bewildered expressions at this time. Su Xiu came to her senses, and she suddenly said in surprise, "Ah, Brother Xialuo, have you also lost your job? Are you having any difficulties now? Your house has just been sold and you still have no job. If you need help, just ask. Although I don't have much ability, I will try my best to help you if I can." Li Xiaoluo sneered in her heart. This Bai Lianhu is really scheming. Yesterday, she alienated herself immediately after seeing that she didn't have a house. Today, she saw that she had found a woman who was better than her, and she was a cheater. She was definitely not happy. That's what this kind of woman is like. People she doesn't want can never live a better life than her, so she said she was helping, but in fact she just told Josiah Tong calmly, "Li Xiaoluo's house has been sold. Can you still like him?" In Su Xiu's opinion, this house must account for a large part of the reason why a beautiful woman like Josiah Tong can fall in love with Li Xiaoluo. But after Su Xiu finished speaking, before Li Xiaoluo could say anything, Josiah Tong had already said with a smile, "Miss, thank you for your concern for our Xialuo. But you really don't need help. We sold this house. Actually, it's to buy a bigger house, so it's really not a problem." Impossible. Hearing Josiah Tong's words, Su Xiu screamed subconsciously, "Let's go." Li Xiaoluo said calmly to Josiah Tong, "Before the end of the world comes, Li Xiaoluo is too lazy to pay attention to people like Su Xiu, which is a waste of time. It affects his mood." "Yes." Josiah Tong responded obediently, then took Li Xiaoluo's arm and left. Su Xiu wanted to ask something else, but Li Xiaoluo ignored her at all, so she could only follow Yang Wei downstairs. But when she followed Yang Wei to drive, she happened to see Li Xiaoluo taking Josiah Tong into a red sports car. Suddenly, Su Xiu's face turned very ugly. Chapter 21, Stock up on luxuries after the apocalypse. In the next 5 days, Li Xiaoluo kept spending money and buying food and various supplies, especially when looking at the various delicacies delivered to the warehouse by the hotel every day. Li Xiaoluo was in a good mood. Think about how all the survivors will be starving and freezing after the apocalypse. When the time comes, they will have air conditioners blowing on and eat ready-made meals that are still steaming straight from the space. Those days will really not be too comfortable. Also, these days, in addition to asking Lao Wang and the others to purchase the food and supplies on the list given before, Li Xiaoluo later asked them to buy several more types of things. The first is table salt, the second type is high-end liquor, the third type is high-end cigarettes. If we look at the food, cold-proof clothing, assault boats and other materials that Li Charlotte purchased before, they were all to enable Li Charlotte to survive in the early stages of the end of the world. Then salt, liquor, cigarettes, etc. can not only greatly improve his quality of life, but also make him rich in the future, because after the end of the world, due to the ice disasters and floods ahead, food and cold-proof equipment are very precious, and they have a bearing on whether the survivors can survive. However, after ice disasters and floods have passed, and the zombies and monsters have entered the disaster stage, food is no longer too difficult to obtain for those with powerful powers at that time. Crystals that could enhance the strength of superpowers, salt necessary for the human body, and liquor and cigarettes that they could enjoy would be real luxuries in the future. Because zombies and monsters were rampant in the back, it was more difficult to find supplies. Moreover, after experiencing ice disasters and floods, Many supplies before the end of the world were basically destroyed as a result. Some supplies that were in short supply before the end of time were definitely the most luxurious and sought-after items in the later period. In villain number 1 of Longting, Li Xiaoluo was sitting on a high-end and comfortable sofa, with a mighty general lying comfortably at his feet. After these days of getting along, the general has completely accepted Li Xiaoluo as his new master. There is no way, the new owner has given him too much, and it feels like it has gained weight these days. Li Xiaoluo looked up and saw slender ankles wearing silver high-heeled shoes. Looking up, he saw 2 round and tight legs wrapped in black silk. Temporary personal secretary Josiah Twing is holding a small notebook and reporting work to boss Li Xiaoluo. Boss, the 2,000 tons of salt you asked Brother Wang to purchase in batches will arrive one after another starting today. A total of 8 batches will arrive today, which adds up to about 500 tons. There are also the high-end tobacco and alcohol you asked Brother Wang to buy. Now I have purchased a total of 10,000 boxes of high-end liquor, which cost about 12 million. I have purchased a total of 15,000 high-end cigarettes, which cost about 10 million. Also, the project at Xiandan Group is going well. Manager Wang Fake said it can be completed on time. Zhou Xiaotong is quite qualified as a secretary, and records every job very carefully. For example, Li Xiaoluo wanted to know what high-end tobacco and alcohol he bought. After all, some of these supplies were not bought by Li Xiaoluo as much as he wanted. Lao Wang and others bought them based on their luck. Josiah Twing immediately gave the data. High-end liquor, Mayotte, Fishin, bought a total of 800 boxes Yang Blue Classic. I bought a total of 1,200 boxes Wulian Gai. I bought a total of 1,500 boxes Guojia 1,573. I bought 1,000 boxes in total Gladiolus Spring Collection. I bought a total of 900 boxes. Cigarette, Zhonghua, Soft, bought 3,000 pieces in total. Yellow Crane Tower, 1916. A total of 2,000 pieces were bought. Nanjing, 9th 5-year plan, bought a total of 1,500 pieces. Furin King, Diamond, I bought 2,000 pieces in total. In fact, in peacetime, whether it is purchasing large quantities of salt or purchasing large quantities of cigarettes, there are certain risks. However, Li Xiaoluo asked Lao Wang and others to purchase it through various channels, and since the end of the world was coming soon, he was not worried at all. Buy it and earn it. So after hearing so many good things, Li Xiaoluo's eyes lit up. As long as these things can survive the previous ice and flood periods, they will be valuable in the later stages. Just taking out a box of cigarettes and alcohol can make an ordinary superpower work for Li Xiaoluo. If they are all used to exchange for crystals, it will definitely be enough for Li Xiaoluo to create many super strong people. However, it is not easy to become Li Xiaoluo's subordinate. Li Xiaoluo will not want anyone, even among the superpowers on the ranking list in his previous life. Few could catch his eye. Men definitely don't want it. Those with bad character don't want it. She must be a woman with good character. In the post-apocalyptic world, how many men will have no ambition? Especially men who have awakened their superpowers. Of course, it's a bit early to say this now. After listening to Josiah Twang's report, Li Xiaoluo frowned a little. The food, and various supplies purchased are now almost arriving one after another, but a problem faced Li Xiaoluo, that is, Li Xiaoluo purchased too many supplies, and now Li Xiaoluo's system space is somewhat insufficient. Although some supplies with a long shelf life can be temporarily stored in a warehouse or placed in Longting Villain number 1, it is definitely not a long-term solution because when floods come, the whole world will be submerged. Only some high-rise buildings will survive. Storing supplies in warehouses or villas will definitely not work. I just hope that after the system is activated, the system space can be expanded, otherwise it's really not enough. And on the day when the end of the world comes, Li Xiaoluo plans to make a large-scale $0 purchase. These days, Li Xiaoluo has carefully selected places for 0 yuan shopping. First of all, there is the Wanjiafu supermarket closest to Li Xiaoluo. This supermarket is the largest supermarket in the city. It has a lot of supplies and a complete range of products. Then there is the city's tobacco company, a large alcohol wholesale company. Although Li Xiaoluo has purchased a lot of tobacco and alcohol, he only purchased some high-end liquor and cigarettes, and basically he did not purchase them in the city, but just to buy them for 0 yuan when the apocalypse comes. However, even if the system space is not enough, Li Xiaoluo will still continue to purchase materials when he should. After the end of the world, he will still make 0 yuan purchases. First of all, there is definitely no harm in purchasing more food and supplies. Even after the system is activated, the space size of the system will not be increased. There is no pity in that, because if the money now is not spent, it will be useless after the end of the world. But buy more supplies now, and if the system space can be expanded by then, you can just collect them. And even if the system space cannot be expanded temporarily, Xialuo still has a choice to choose what materials to put in the 2000 cubic meters of space. In fact, 2000 cubic meters of space is already quite large, and can store a lot of supplies. Thinking back to the last life, all of Charlotte's assets in the apocalypse were not enough to fill a school bag, but who made Xialuo reborn? The more he knew, the more things he wanted to hoard. That's why he felt that no amount of space was enough. But if the system space is really not enough, Xialuo actually has a backup plan. Therefore, supplies must be collected vigorously. He is the only one in the whole world who has this opportunity. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelists. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 22. Josiah Tong is so refreshing. Early in the morning, the seventh day, Josiah Tong came out of the kitchen carrying breakfast with a rosy face, and then saw Xialuo sitting at the dining table, puffing away smoke and feeding the big black dog. Josiah Tong could feel that Xialuo seemed to be very excited and motivated this morning. After all, she had been tossing her for a long time last night. When she was making breakfast in the kitchen this morning, Xialuo went directly into the kitchen and hugged her from behind. She worked hard for more than an hour. 12,506 words are omitted here. Josiah Tong remembered that Xialuo was very excited during the whole process, as if something good was about to happen. Boss, you seem very happy today, Joe. Josiah Tong placed breakfast on the dining table and asked with a trace of curiosity on his face. Today, Josiah Tong is wearing a white dress and a pair of black stockings with letters on her slender legs. Originally, Josiah Tong usually likes to wear flesh-colored stockings, but who told Xialuo to like all kinds of colors? She always changes her clothes now. Xialuo glanced at Josiah Tong. At this time, Josiah Tong's face was rosy, and her skin seemed to have been freshly cared for, with a dewy luster. After so many days of getting along with him, Josiah Tong became much more casual with him, such as his dress and tone of voice, and he became more and more affectionate over time. Xialuo nodded and said, "The renovation of the house has been completed today. I am really happy, Joe." Josiah Tong looked at Xialuo with a question mark on her face. She ran into the kitchen excitedly early in the morning and tossed her for so long. Is it just because the house was renovated? Is this thing so happy, boss? Actually, I have always wanted to ask, what news did you hear when you spent so much money to renovate your house and buy so much food and supplies? Josiah Tong looked at Xialuo curiously while eating breakfast. In fact, not only was she curious about this question, but also the people who worked for Xialuo were also very curious. After all, Xialuo's behavior was too strange. In fact, there are all kinds of people in this era, and there are also all kinds of catastrophe theories. It is not strange that many rich people hoard supplies and build safe houses, but this kind of thing is actually more common in Western countries, and this kind of behavior is relatively rare in China. Especially Xialuo is so crazy. In fact, they had asked Xialuo before, but Xialuo didn't say much, and the people hired by Xialuo were still intoxicated with a salary of 10,000 a day. Xialuo, the boss, didn't want to say more, so they naturally didn't dare to ask any more questions. Now, Josiah Tong and Xialuo have been in close contact for so many days, and they are no longer so restrained in front of Xialuo, so I asked this question again today. Xialuo smiled and said, "I am just an ordinary person with a little money. Where can I get any news? If I could hear any news, then this society might have been in chaos, but I have a sixth hunch that a disaster may be coming. If you have time, you can stock up on supplies and food in the next 2 days, Joe." Josiah Tong was speechless. He did so many crazy things just because of a premonition, but Josiah Tong didn't laugh at Xialuo. After all, they are all adults and everyone has their own way of doing things. "Okay, I will also stock up on some things online when the time comes, even." In order to comfort Xialuo, Josiah Tong decided to buy some things and hoard them when the time came. Josiah Tong realized that the apocalyptic disaster was coming. After all, no normal person would think so, especially in China. There are no wars and few major disasters. The country is peaceful and the people are safe, and it is difficult to think of any natural or man-made disasters. Zhou Xiaotuang is completely supportive of Li Xiaoluo. Smart women all know that men are very face-conscious creatures in front of women. Li Xiaoluo thought for a while, got up, took some gold bars and handed them to Zhou Xiaotuang. Zhou Xiaotuang looked at the gold in front of him, swallowed his saliva, took it and said, "Boss, is this for me?" Li Xiaoluo said, "This gold is worth almost 1 million. It can be regarded as prepaying part of your support in advance. You can use it to purchase some supplies, too." Be honest, in Li Xiaoluo's consciousness, in the late stages of the apocalyptic disaster, human survivors are basically a world dominated by superpowers. Before the end of the world, dignitaries, celebrities, rich people, or beautiful and handsome guys, as long as they are not superpowers, they are just a burden, and they are the lowest level existence. Therefore, Li Xiaoluo can take in sisters Shen Miao and even the general's dog, but he has no plans to take in ordinary people in the early stage. Even Zhou Xiaotuang is the same in the future. There will be more women in the apocalypse, and he and Zhou Xiaotuang have a trading relationship. Li Xiaoluo was able to remind Zhou Xiaotuang in advance and give her the money, which is considered to be the most benevolent thing. It can be regarded as her reward for taking care of her these days. Otherwise, people like Lao Wang would be busy purchasing supplies for him like chicken blood for so many days. But Li Xiaoluo would not say another word to them. When the apocalypse comes tomorrow, Li Xiaoluo will not have to pay them a penny at all. Zhou Xiaotuang looked at the gold in his hand and felt a little complicated. It's not because Li Xiaoluo asked her to use the money to purchase supplies, but because Li Xiaoluo said it was a guarantee of maintenance. These 3 words were like a needle, piercing Zhou Xiaotuang's heart hard, making her feel as if she was suffocating. Zhou Xiaotuang admitted that she likes to dress up and also likes material life, but she is not a woman who will do anything for money, nor is she a woman without a bottom line. There were actually many reasons why she agreed to Li Xiaoluo's temporary support. First of all, it was because of the mystery of Li Xiaoluo, who suddenly became a billionaire from an ordinary employee of their company, which really made her very curious. Secondly, the money given by Li Xiaoluo is really large. She is an ordinary white-collar beauty, so it is really difficult to refuse. Finally, I have worked in the same company as Li Xiaoluo for so long, so we know each other somewhat, and Li Xiaoluo is quite handsome, so it is said that she is being kept. But actually Zhou Xiaotuang wants to be with Li Xiaoluo for a long time, especially after living with Li Xiaoluo for so many days. Her idea has become stronger and stronger, but now she knew that in Li Xiaoluo's heart, she might just be a woman who was bought to vent temporarily. A rich man like him would never really fall in love with her. However, Li Xiaoluo didn't notice the change in Zhou Xiaotuang's face at all. Li Xiaoluo had been in the apocalypse for so long in his previous life and had long been accustomed to this straightforward approach. A piece of bread can be exchanged for a beautiful woman, and a pack of instant noodles can even be exchanged for a female star after the end of the world, especially after the collapse of order. How many people will still talk about relationships even if theirs? It will definitely not be him, Li Xiaoluo. In this life he was betrayed and betrayed in his previous life. In this life, he just wants to be a selfish secular person who enjoys life. Chapter 23. The Lord's Mansion is super enhanced. The system is awesome. After breakfast, Zhou Xiaotuang continued to supervise the work of Lao Wang and the others. Li Xiaoluo couldn't wait to go upstairs and start taking over his Lord's Mansion. Although the name of the Lord's Mansion is a bit confusing, Li Xiaoluo doesn't care. He just wants to activate the system immediately and see what special functions the system has. In fact, Li Xiaoluo is almost ready for the coming apocalypse. In the early days of the end of the world, safe shelter, food, warm equipment, weapons, etc. are all guarantees of survival. In the late apocalypse, superpowers, crystals that can enhance the power of superpowers, and some materials that superpowers can enjoy are the keys to survival and strength in the future. As for these things, Li Xiaoluo has been very well prepared these days. Li Xiaoluo spent tens of millions to renovate 2 safe shelters. One was Longding Villa No. 1, and the other was the duplex penthouse in the community where he now lives. As for food, supplies, and weapons, Li Xiaoluo was also very well prepared. Even Li Xiaoluo has found several super helpers after the apocalypse. Maybe the only thing Li Xiaoluo couldn't prepare was the crystals that only appeared in the later stages. And there was no way to get them now, but he is not worried about the most important crystal behind Li Xiaoluo, because Li Xiaoluo was reborn, so he has a very big advantage. For example, when crystals first appeared, ordinary survivors didn't know how to obtain them. Even if they accidentally discovered them, they didn't know how precious they were. So Li Xiaoluo has every chance to collect a large amount of crystals by then, whether he exchanges them for food and supplies, or grabs them directly. The above are Li Xiaoluo's current preparations and advantages. In fact, even without a system, Li Xiaoluo is confident that he can live comfortably in the end of this world, but the system is standard and must be indispensable. Moreover, in his previous life, Li Xiaoluo was just an ordinary person without any supernatural talents. Even if he is fully prepared in this life, even if he hoards more food than he can eat in 100 lifetimes, even if he finds several super thugs in advance, even if he can use the advantage turn a lot of crystals later, but so what? In the end, it still couldn't change that he would be an ordinary person from now on, and could only leave his life and death to others to protect him. So after preparing for so long, Li Xiaoluo was actually looking forward to the system. Arriving at villain number 1 of Longting again, people from the Xiandong group had been waiting for Li Xiaoluo. Li Xiaoluo looked at the transformed Lord's mansion in front of him. First of all, some defensive weapons were installed on the outermost periphery of villain number 1. For example, villa anti-theft gill nets were installed on the fence of the villa, and then a high-voltage power grid was installed. In addition, a state-of-the-art surveillance camera system has been added, which can provide a 360-degree view of every corner of the villa area. After entering the gate of villain number 1, the first thing you see is a newly built explosion-proof passage, through which you can directly enter the room of the villa. In fact, due to time constraints, the extent of the transformation of the security lord's mansion required by Li Xiaoluo is still limited. For example, the walls of the house can only be reinforced with metal, the glass has been replaced with anti-theft glass, and the door has been replaced with a ton-heavy hydraulic explosion-proof door. These are some modifications on the outside. Finally, there is a safe room made of special alloy inside the villa. If an enemy really breaks into the villa, you can finally hide in this safe room. After acceptance, a part of the balance of the Xiandong group was paid, and the people of the Xiandong group left happily. Ding. Congratulations to the host for completing system activation task 2. Ding. 2 lords' mansions will be rewarded with a super enhancement. 2 lords will be rewarded with a small teleportation gate. Note, the small teleportation gate requires that the straight line distance between the 2 lords should not exceed 100 miles. Ding. The super strengthening of the 2 lords' mansions has begun. Ding. Start super strengthening the main body of the lord's mansion. The main body of the lord's mansion is super strengthened. The walls, floors, and ceilings are all automatically replaced with the world's top alloy, which can withstand nuclear explosions and super earthquakes. Ding. Let's start the super enhanced monitoring system. The super enhanced monitoring system is completed. The monitoring system has been upgraded to a super automatic stealth monitoring system. All equipment in the super automatic stealth monitoring system are made of super stealth materials and can automatically monitor a range of 500 meters any situation. Paired with 2 stealth reconnaissance drones. Ding. Let's start super strengthening the defense of the lord's mansion. The super strengthening of defense is completed. The hardness of the fence anti-theft gill net is strengthened 100 times, and the high voltage power grid is increased to 100,000 volts. Ding. Let's start the super strengthening of the living system of the lord's mansion. The super strengthening of the living system of the lord's mansion is completed. The lord's mansion has generated an independent domestic sewage treatment system, air filtration system, and water and electricity system, which can permanently provide water and electricity for 100 people. It can eliminate all toxic gases. Hearing the system's constant crackling beeps, Li Xiaoluo became more and more surprised and liked it more and more. The content is really touching. The system is awesome. Sure enough, it's cool to have a system. You know, when building the lord's mansion, many facilities were not perfect due to time constraints. For example, the anti-theft gill nets and high-voltage power grids added to the villa fences are relatively common civilian versions due to time and policy reasons. For example, the power grid is basically used to scare people. The people who are electrified will be paralyzed at most, and it will not cause much harm at all. But after super strengthening, the voltage directly increased to 100,000 volts. What is the definition of 100,000 volts? Pikachu 100,000 volts. If you touch it, it will instantly turn into ashes. Also, after the transformation of the original lord's mansion, it basically could only serve as a defense against ordinary survivors. Now it can directly resist nuclear explosions. This is very cool. Anyway, if there is no system, no matter how much money he has, there is no way to transform the lord's mansion into this kind of super fortress in a short time. Now that you have this kind of safe fortress, You will be absolutely safe and worry-free living in it in the future. Even those with superpowers in the future may not be able to do anything against their own Lord's mansion. As for domestic sewage treatment systems, air filtration systems, water and electricity systems, etc., for Xialuo, they are the icing on the cake after all. Even if this super enhancement does not have these functions, Xialuo has prepared a lot of generators and water storage equipment, which is basically enough for him to enjoy convenient water and electricity after the end of the world. Ding. Congratulations to the host for completing system activation task 2. The strongest shelter system is officially activated. After a while, Xialuo finally heard the voice he wanted to hear most. Chapter 24 Zanzhanka. Ding. Congratulations to the host for officially activating the strongest shelter system. A qualified host must have a strong body, and the host's body will be rewarded with 10 times stronger body. Ding. Reward the Lord's talent with a detecting eye. After the system's beep was finally completed, Xialuo clearly felt the changes in his body, feeling like he had endless power all over his body, strengthening your body 10 times. This is no joke. Xialuo could lift 50 kilograms in the past, but now he can lift 500 kilograms. Even if Xialuo's time was only 10 minutes in the past, it is now a full 100 minutes. My waist is no longer sore and my legs are no longer hurting. If Josiah Tong were in front of him now, it wouldn't be a problem to fight for 1,000 rounds. No, I will call Josiah Tong back later, and I must find her to regain the situation. A few days ago, when Xialuo had just defeated Josiah Tong was actually not his opponent yet. He always raised a white flag to beg for mercy, but in the past 2 days, it was basically Xialuo's turn to get out of bed with support on his waist. Sure enough, the old saying is true, there are only tired oxen and no tired fields. If Josiah Tong had not tried his best to dissuade him for fear of harming his health, Xialuo would have used small blue particles to regain his position. I didn't expect that the system's cutie would have such a good reward. It's so thoughtful. After feeling the changes in his body, Xialuo couldn't wait to check the system, the strongest shelter system in the Doomsday. Lord, Xialuo, Level 1, Lord's Mansion, Villa Number 1, Longting, 36th floor, Building A, Wutangyeong Community. Innate ability, Exploring Eye, Special abilities, Space, Contracted subordinates. 0/5, Energy points. 0, Shop, Level 1. After looking at the system data panel, I found that the system panel is actually quite simple and can be seen in just 2 eyes. However, Xialuo was in a complicated mood and didn't know whether to be happy or disappointed. Be happy because the system is finally activated and the rewards are great. Maybe he was disappointed because after looking at the functions of the system, it seemed that there was no function that would allow him to gain superpowers. Could it be that I can only get along with everyone as an ordinary person in this life? But speaking of it, Xialuo is actually no longer an ordinary person. Not only does the system come with 2,000 cubic meters of space, but now the body has been strengthened 10 times, which is definitely no worse than the strongest soldier king before the end. But his physical fitness is great, but compared to future superpowers, he is not at the same level in terms of combat ability. After gathering his mood, Xialuo continued to check the functions of each function of the system. The first is the Lord's Mansion. There are currently 2 Lord's Mansions. After checking, Xialuo found that some operations of the Lord's Mansion can be controlled in the system. For example, the portal of the Lord's Mansion, the monitoring system of the Lord's Mansion, the high-voltage power grid, etc. can all be viewed, opened and closed directly in the system. This function is indeed very practical. For example, if you check the monitoring system through the system, Xialuo does not need to go to the monitoring room to check or guard every time in the future. You can call up the monitoring screen at any time in the system. Keep watching. Eye of Exploration. The Lord's natural ability can check anyone's basic information, including name, friendliness, special abilities, and potential. Yes, this ability is also very practical. From now on, people with ulterior motives will have no way to hide from Xialuo, and people with special abilities or high loyalty will be discovered by Xialuo in advance. Contracted subordinates. When the system is at level 1, you can contract with 5 subordinates. The contracted person will never be able to betray or harm the host. Notice 1. When the host makes a contract with a subordinate, the friendliness of the other party towards the host must exceed 80 for the contract to be successful. 2. Every time the system level increases, the number of contract subordinates increases by 5. Contracted subordinate. This function is also good. Li Xiaoluo feels that it is an extension of the exploring eye. The exploring eye can only check everyone's friendliness towards Li Xiaoluo. For example, a friendliness of 60 is considered a pass, and a friendliness of 80 is considered a very favorable impression. But what about people with a friendliness level of 80? After the end of the world, anything can happen. Even the closest people will betray you, although some people may be forced to do so for some reasons, but betrayal is betrayal. So even if you know everyone's friendliness, it doesn't mean that people with high friendliness can truly trust them now. The system has solved this problem perfectly. As long as he becomes Li Xiaoluo's contracted subordinate, Li Xiaoluo can trust him 100%. Move on to the next feature. Energy points. Energy points can be used to upgrade abilities or purchase goods in the store. How to obtain? Killing monsters and looking for meteorites have a chance to obtain crystals, and then the crystals can be exchanged for energy points in the system. Seeing this, Li Xiaoluo couldn't help but complain. Crystals can be used to upgrade. Almost everyone knows this in the late apocalypse, so the system requires the crystals to be converted into energy points, and then the energy points are used to increase the power level. Isn't this unnecessary? No. In fact, Li Xiaoluo had no chance to do this because he couldn't awaken his powers at all. Li Xiaoluo, who was a little shocked, continued to check the last function of the system, but he no longer had much hope. Shop. Level 1. All goods in the store need to be purchased with energy points. Ordinary goods: 1 pound of rice, 1 energy point, 1 liter of drinking water, 1 energy point warm cotton coat, 2 energy points kayak, 10 energy points automatic rifle, with 3 magazines, 10 energy points special items, Zhan's home card, 1000 energy points. Note: when the host consumes 10,000 energy points in the store can be upgraded to level 2 store, and new products will appear in the store. When the host consumes 1 million energy points, the store can be upgraded to level 3 store. The items in the store will be updated daily. There are not many products in the store, only 6 kinds of products in total. Li Xiaoluo was still very disappointed when he saw the first 5 ordinary products, not to mention that he has no energy points. Even if he has energy points, he basically has no desire to buy because in addition to the automatic rifle, he had already stocked up on several other commodities including food and supplies. If he had not been reborn and was still in his previous life, he would really need those things in the system store. It's a pity that in this life, he has already made sufficient preparations, so it doesn't appeal to him at all. But when Li Xiaoluo checked the last product, Li Xiaoluo's body felt like an electric shock, and he was stunned. He felt that his whole person had been sublimated. Zhan's home card. The host can only use it on the contracted subordinates, and has a chance to copy the abilities of the contracted subordinates. Haha. Awesome. Isn't this what Li Xiaoluo wants most? With this Zhan's home card, Li Xiaoluo believes that he will definitely become a superpower in the future, and he is also the only person in the apocalypse who has multiple powers. Chapter 25. Probing Eye. When Li Xiaoluo was looking happy at Zhan's Hanka in the system store, the security guard at the villa gate called him and said that a beautiful woman was looking for him. After Li Xiaoluo asked for the name, he immediately asked the security guard to bring the person over. Li Xiaoluo has been doing a lot of things in the villa these days, so he asked Josiah Tong to give some benefits to the property management and the security guards at the door. Now when the security guards at the door saw Li Xiaoluo's car, they nodded and bowed from a distance, as if they were seeing their biological father. So Li Xiaoluo asked them to run errands. And they all wanted it. There will definitely be benefits when the time comes, and even if they weren't serving Li Xiaoluo, the god of wealth, the security guards were all rushing to take over the job because the woman who came to see Li Xiaoluo was so beautiful that anyone who could bring her over would be able to take a few more looks. Mr. Li, this beauty is looking for you, so I brought it to you. Standing in front of Li Xiaoluo was Shen Miaomio, whom Li Xiaoluo bought, although Shen Miaomio's face looks a little haggard, and she doesn't wear any heavy makeup. Her tall figure, curvy figure, and the spectacular size of her chest, everything is so flawless, coupled with Shen Miaomio's fair and rosy skin, which can be broken by blows, and the gentle temperament and beauty of Shen Miaomio will definitely drive many men crazy. In fact, it is not difficult to see the charm of Shen Miaomio from the security guard who keeps peeking from the side. Li Xiaoluo has been busy with other things these days, so he really hasn't gone to the hospital to see Sister Shen Miaomio again. Firstly, he is really busy, and secondly, even if someone is helpful to him in this life, he will never be a licker again. In her previous life, Shen Miaomio tried every possible means to find Zhou Junji in order to repay her kindness. Li Xiaoluo felt that even if he didn't look for her, she would definitely come to him in the end. However, Li Xiaoluo actually had a plan in his mind before. In order to make Shen Miaomio more loyal to him, Li Xiaoluo would definitely not wait for Shen Miaomio to come to her after she awakened her powers like in the previous life, because Shen Miaomio was already very powerful at that time, and after she experienced a lot of darkness in the doomsday, her heart became very strong and cold. Such Shen Miaomio, although she still remembers Zhou Junji's kindness before the end, will never trust others easily, let alone rely on others. So in Li Xiaoluo's previous plan, in this life you would estimate that Shen Miaomio and the others were about to run out of ammunition and food in a few days after the end of the world, and then appear in front of her and her sister again as a savior. Li Xiaoluo didn't believe it. He saved her sister before the apocalypse, and then saved the two sisters after the apocalypse. From now on, they won't be completely devoted to themselves. However, Li Xiaoluo did not expect that Shen Miaomio would come to the door today looking at the cautious and beautiful beauty in front of me. You can't help but want to take a bite. Li Xiaoluo's plan is about to change again. He wants to bring the Shen Miaomio sisters to Lord No. 1's mansion now and stay with him, so as to avoid any accidents that may happen to them after the apocalypse. For example, being jumped in by someone else or something. After all, he himself became a butterfly. Who knows what the flapping wings will affect? As for Shen Miaomio's loyalty in the future, it's no longer a problem at all now. Li Xiaoluo felt there was a problem before. It was because he would not trust anyone after his rebirth, even if that person is Shen Miaomio. Li Xiaoluo knew who she was in her previous life. Li Xiaoluo wouldn't believe it 100%, but now, the system has just been activated, and the function of the contracted subordinate is tailor-made for Shen Miaomio. After all, no matter how many tricks Li Xiaoluo plays and how moved Shen Miaomio is, can he be 100% loyal to the system? Trouble. Li Xiaoluo came to his senses and was about to take out a few hundred yuan from his body as a tip to send the security guard away. The tall security guard who sent Shen Miaomio oversaw Li Xiaoluo's actions, and a flattering smile suddenly appeared on his face. I thought to myself that this trip was indeed not in vain, but such a perfect and beautiful woman was fed by a pig, and he felt very uncomfortable. Among the owners who live in the Longding Villa area, there is actually no shortage of beautiful women. After all the wives of rich people are beautiful, but the tall security guard had never seen a woman as attractive as Shen Miaomio. Therefore, he has never been so jealous and angry towards Li Xiaoluo, a rich man. When Li Xiaoluo took the money, he suddenly remembered the system's probing. I just wanted to see the effect, and Li Xiaoluo used it directly on the tall security guard and Shen Miaomio. Fan Tong. Friendliness level 4, potential value 5, special ability, none. According to the classification of the system, a friendliness of 020 is considered very annoying, a friendliness of 2060 is not malicious, a friendliness of 6080 is relatively favorable, a friendliness of 8090 is very favorable, and a friendliness of 9100 is the dearest person. Gamut. Seeing the friendliness of the tall security guard, Li Charlotte suddenly wanted to swear. This tall security guard now has a smile on his face like a flower. Every time he sees Li Xiaoluo's car, he is the one who greets him most attentively, but I didn't expect that his friendship level was only 4 points. But looking at it from another angle, money is everything. Who would have thought that a security guard who hates me very much would be the most attentive person who smiles at me at ordinary times? However, for people like this who are destined to be ordinary survivors after the apocalypse, Li Xiaoluo has no interest in stepping on them at all. Li Xiaoluo had already paid out several hundred yuan, but Li Xiaoluo had no intention of tipping the tall security guard again. Even if these banknotes become waste paper tomorrow, Li Xiaoluo will not give them to him. Okay, bring me here, you can leave. Li Xiaoluo waved coldly to the tall security guard, then took the banknotes, wiped his leather shoes, and threw them to the ground. Seeing Li Xiaoluo's behavior, the tall security guard was stunned for a moment, and then his face was filled with anger, as if he had been greatly humiliated. However, the requirements for working as a security guard in such a high-end villa area are also very strict. Their security guards must not have any conflicts with the owners, so the tall security guard could only swallow his anger, barely show a smile, then turn around and leave quickly with a gloomy face. Otherwise, he was really afraid that he would be tempted to hit someone after the tall security guard left. Li Xiaoluo checked Shen Miaomio's situation in the system. Shen Miaomio, friendliness level 76, potential value 99, special ability, ice power, to be awakened. Comparing the security guard just now, and then looking at Shen Miaomio's information, Li Xiaoluo felt that there was a huge difference. Let's not talk about friendliness. Just talking about special abilities and potential values, two people may be the difference between genius and waste. That tall security guard, likely Xialuo in his previous life, was an ordinary person who couldn't even awaken his powers. Not only can Shen Miao awaken specialized powers, but her aptitude is absolutely heaven-defying. Potential value 99. In fact, based on her achievements in her previous life, the Ice and Snow Queen, Li Xiaoluo had already been prepared in her heart. Mr. Li, my sister had surgery the day before yesterday. She is feeling better today, so I came to see you today. I hope you don't mind. When Li Xiaoluo looked at Shen Miao, Shen Miao spoke first with a red face, but she saw what happened just now, and she felt that Li Xiaoluo today made her afraid of this. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.